Wow. I'm back. Long time no see is an understatement. For those of you that are familiar with me and have been following me for a while, you probably noticed that I haven't put anything up in a really long time now. 6 months to be exact, which is like an eternity in the content creator world. And you know, I'm gonna get into the reasoning why, and I'm gonna explaining everything in this video, as you can see by like the title and the length of this. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but it's probably gonna be super long. But yeah, I had, other, my content creator friends and just people in general just hitting me like, yo, is everything good? Are you okay? What's going on? People are thinking that you quit. Just so many different things. 6 months is a long time for like anybody that creates content. Anybody that creates content knows that. But yeah, I'm gonna explain everything, explain why in this video, of course. But yeah, first off, before I get into the video, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to all those people that were going out of their way to check on me during this break. It means more than you guys know, like really, just to know that there are so many people concerned and so many people that cared about me that much. It just meant a lot to me. So I want to thank you guys so much. You guys are dope. You guys are the best. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to my family and all of my close friends that have become family. You guys might probably like looking around like, yo, like people that have like, been following me for a while, like, damn, like, the setup, what's up, and, we leveling up, a lot can happen in 6 months, but all glory to God, really, for all of this new stuff, new fancy stuff that you guys are seeing. The MacBook Pro, I know it's in the corner, it was hiding. A lot of you was like, whoa, when did I look at the MacBook Pro? But yeah, shout out to my family for this Pro. They got it for me for my birthday. I just turned 22 this past January. Glory to God for allowing me to see another year. But yeah, thank you guys so much. God knew, I feel like God knew how much I needed, a lot of different equipment for so long. I was trying to get a MacBook Pro, so many other different things for so long, and he used the people closest to me in my life to bless me with those things. So, all glory to God, and I just want to thank my family and my friends so much for blessing me with this laptop. Also, the camera, obviously, this isn't a phone like usual. Brand new Canon EOS M50. Shout out to my brother, my best friend Ernest, for getting me this camera for Christmas. Bro, I couldn't be more appreciative. Like, bro, like when it was a complete surprise. I had no idea. He organized it with my family to just surprise me with this Canon. I was gonna figure out how to get it myself, but like I said, God was just using the people around me to just bless me with all this new equipment. So, yeah, thank you so much, bro. My brother Ernest, shout out to E. But yeah, as you guys might be able to tell, I'm stuttering in a little bit and stuff like that. I'm really nervous. Like, when I tell y'all I really did not want to do this video, I really did not want to do this video, if I'm being honest. I was stalling so much. I kept pushing it back. I was like, yo, I'm going to do it. And I knew I had to, but I just kept pushing it back. But, it was just, God just kept putting in my heart, like, this has to be done. And you guys probably have a lot of questions. I know you guys are probably like, whoa, like, what's going on? But as I said before, I'm going to answer everything, all your guys' questions and everything. At least I'm going to try to in this video. Also, you're probably going to be seeing me looking down at my phone a lot. I knew there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover, so I just wrote everything down in my notes just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So if you see me looking down like this for half the video, that's probably why. I don't have the best memory. But yeah. I don't usually get super personal or like really get into my private life. I'm a pretty private person on my channel. Like in my past videos for you guys that have been here. For anybody that's new, welcome. You guys are gonna get to know me, I guess, through this video. But yeah, I really don't get into my personal or private life at all, really. But it's definitely necessary for me to talk about what I'm gonna talk about today in this video. So yeah, I'm just gonna be super transparent and super honest and open about everything, which is really scary for me. But like I said, knew I had to be done, and I knew this. Coming into this, I knew that it can help a lot of people. that were going through what I was going through 6 months ago, which I'm going to get into and explain. But I also want to let you guys know that a lot of what I'm about to get into is symbolic and some of it literal, and you guys will know what that means later. But like, not everything I say that I went through, that I'm talking about, is like actual. You guys will get it. You'll understand. It'll all make sense later. But yeah, basically, you know, the whole reasoning behind all this, the break, me making this video, me not having uploaded and being MIA from everything for 6 months. On October 6th, 2020, I had a spiritual encounter with God, and that night, or I guess you could call it the following morning, I made the best decision of my life ever in giving my life to Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And I know I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, amen, hallelujah. And, you know, I said it's the best decision of my life for a reason, because as you can see, I'm, you know, really happy. A lot of people were hitting me up really concerned when I was taking this break for the last 6 months, like, yo, like, is everything good? Like, are you okay? Thinking that there was something wrong with me. And my response will always be like, yo, I've never been better. You know, this is the happiest I've ever been. You know, I'm doing great. You know, something always along those lines. And I know it always throw people off because, you know, whenever you go MIA, it probably means something's wrong with that person. But for me, you know, I just had to step away from certain things to start my new journey with God, but at least for a little while. But yeah, these last 6 months, when I tell you guys this is the happiest I've ever been, this is the happiest I've never been this happier in my life. As you can see, I'm visibly like excited, I guess you could say now, just talking about it. But yeah, I've never been happier. And I know you guys might be confused, like, spiritual encounter with God, like, how do you know? Like, what do you mean spiritual encounter? What does that mean? And I'm gonna explain that night in detail as much as I can. It's hard to put everything into words as far as everything that happened, but I'm gonna do my best to try and explain. But for that night to make sense and everything that happened that night to make sense, I just want to give you guys like a background of my life leading up to that, you know, my childhood, and just so you guys can understand me. And like I said, I'm gonna be very honest and transparent in this video, which I'm really nervous about. You know, anybody would be nervous about, but God got me, you know. God got me. You holding me down, big bro? Oh, you holding me down. But yeah. So I'm gonna just give you guys like the full rundown of my life. You know, you guys are gonna see a different side. I'm usually happy and joking around and goofy, but I'm gonna talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, a lot of the darker times in my life, a lot of just different things that I was dealing with that I never really talked about, that nobody ever really knew up until October. And I really just got to letting my family and close friends know a lot of these different things about me. Like, it was certain things that I was going to take to the grave. Like, when I tell y'all, like, you know that you have those certain things that you're going to take to the grave that you never tell anybody. It was certain things I was going to take to the grave that just me and God knew. But, you know, God had a different plan, and he wants to use, I like this quote. I forgot who said it. I guess it was in a sermon that I heard or something, but, you know, God can turn your mess into a message. So this is me, you know, letting God turn my mess into a message for you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna just get into it. Nervous, but I'm gonna just get into it all. But yeah, also, I'm not gonna be editing anything. You know, there's a little secret that us YouTubers have. If we mess up, if we stutter, if we look dumb on video, boop, cut it out. I'm not gonna be doing any of that. I just want this to be the most authentic video possible. I don't want to have a whole bunch of jump cuts and stuff. So complete raw footage, beginning to end. I might be rambling. I'm sorry. You know, my mind is all over the place when I talk. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best to just keep it straight to the point and ramble as little as possible. I'm rambling right now, but you know, yeah, I'm gonna get to the point. But yeah, raw footage, unedited. But yeah, so I grew up. My background, I grew up in Brooklyn. Shout out to all my New Yorkers out there. I live in Jersey now, but you know, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Both of my parents are Haitian. They were both born in Haiti and moved over here to New York, as most Caribbeans and, you know, immigrants do. Me and my siblings, we grew up in a small apartment in Brooklyn. And my father, you guys have seen my dad, for you guys familiar with me, have seen my dad all over my page, just pranking him all the time. But he's a pastor. He's been a pastor for a really long time, ever since even back then when we were living in New York. I was a pastor. My mother, she's a nurse. And yeah, like for all my other Haitians, you know how it is growing up when you Haitian and you're a kid, Lakai, L'école, L'église. You already knew what I was going to say before I said it. For all my non-Haitians, that means school, home, church. That's it. That's the only places you know. So yeah, my parents were really strict, really religious. We were really sheltered. It was like a really small apartment building in New York, so we really didn't go anywhere. We didn't know anything. We were very naive to like just anything like pop culture. That's why even now, like I'm in school and like there'll be like a lot of different things, like just music from the early 2000s, and just like, oh, you're not black if you don't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, you're not black if you don't know this, or like Black Car Revolt. It was so many different things. I came to college. I'm like, yo, I have no idea what, like legit, no gas. I learned how to do the electric slide in college. Like, and you guys might be like, oh, you're not black, but my upbringing, I was super sheltered growing up. I didn't know anything. We were just super sheltered and kept from the world. Just being that my parents were super religious. I guess at the time, we didn't realize it, but like, now that I'm older, I'm seeing that they were really just trying to protect us from all of the ugly that's in the world. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're just super sheltered, and we're just really naive. We didn't really know much, but yeah, we didn't really go out much at all. I didn't really have too much friends, because Haitian parents really don't like friends. It's like friends are the enemy, friends are the devil. So other than my family and my cousins, we really didn't interact with too many people. But yeah, we're always in church all the time. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If there is a day, we there in church, some type of service, Bible study. Yeah, we was always in church growing up. And I'm one of 3 siblings. My sister, I have an older sister and a younger brother. And so you know how it is with middle children. Just growing up, I guess in the moment I didn't really realize it, but looking back, I realized at times I really did feel like, because the oldest gets a lot of attention, right? Because they're the oldest, and then the youngest gets the most attention because they're spoiled, they're the baby of the family. But me, also with my siblings, both of them, people that's close to my family know that they have sickle cell. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a condition where the red blood cells in your body, they don't form the way they're supposed to form in like a circular shape, but instead like a sickle shape, like kind of like a crescent moon. So it causes a lot of complications and a lot of problems throughout like our whole upbringing. They were in and out of the hospital and stuff a lot of the time. And not to say that I'm the only one that came out without sickle cell, because both of my parents had the trait, thank God. But not to say that I was never grateful for being healthy, for being, well and in good, santé, that means health, for all my non-Haitians my whole life. But I guess you could say I felt neglected a lot of the time, just being that I was a middle child and being that like so much attention, which I'm not saying is anybody's fault, but like, it happens. So much attention was being used for my siblings, older, younger, out of the hospital all the time. I felt neglected as a child, and I didn't realize that until I looked back. I was like, dang, I really did. And you'll see how it affected me later in my life, because it really did affect me a lot. But yeah, I just, didn't feel like I got as much attention. I was growing up, I was really smart. I was always, I always got good grades in school. I always did well. I was always in all honors classes. And what that did, because we moved over to Jersey when I was about like 7, and a lot of school systems, like at least for my school district particularly, it's just a tad bit discriminatory. They would have in our school, there was like separated by levels. So they would have all the kids of color in like the lower levels, and it was like level 2, level 3, level 4. and all the you know, Caucasian kids in like the higher levels, which is level 4 AP. Level 4 was like honors. So I was always, just growing up, I was just always smart. So I was always in honors classes, no matter what, really, like middle school and like most of high school. And that led to me having a lot of white friends, you know, because all the black kids were in the lower level classes and I'm in the higher level classes. So I just had a ton of white friends, you know. And even now, like, well, so at the time, you know, just me having a lot of white friends, people would just always call me like an Oreo and be like, yo, like, you talk white, like, why do you talk like that? And it would just kind of always get under my skin, I guess you could say. I was always get picked on for that reason. And even now, you know, people would tell me like, yo, you know, you're really well spoken, or like, you know, I guess you talk white. Like, that's their way of saying you talk white. But yeah, that's just for me. Like, a lot of my life, I had a lot of white friends because I was always in those honors classes. But me being black, I just never felt like I fit in, you know, because yeah, we're both smart. That's what we're relating on. But like, outside of that, as far as like culture and food and family life, I just never felt like I could really relate or truly be myself around, like, you know, my classmates growing up. So I just always felt like I didn't fit in, like I was different, like left out. I was socially awkward growing up, you know, really shy. Like, and I know that's surprising to a lot of people because I have such a loud, vibrant personality now. You know, I'm super outgoing and extroverted. But like for most of my life, I was like the complete opposite. And like I'm gonna be super transparent in this video. A lot of it, I really feel like, so all right, so I was smart, right? I was really smart growing up in school, but I realized looking back that I was always slower to pick up onto things, you know what I mean? Like, not that I was dumb, and I'm not equating, like, being slow and dumb is not the same thing, right? It might, y'all picking up what I'm putting down, but I was always like, you know, I was always like the last person to finish a quiz or a test in the classroom, and I'd get a good grade, but it would just take me longer, you know, it would just take my brain a little bit longer to process things. It even translated later into when I was playing sports, you know, my hand-eye coordination would just be super late compared to everybody else. I'm like, yo, what the heck is good with me? You know, and thank God I'm tall, you know, so that kind of gave me an advantage playing sports and stuff. But I just wasn't, other than like my size that gave me an advantage, I just wasn't really good because, like, you know, it just takes my brain a little bit longer to like process stuff. And like, even in conversation, it would affect me. And that's what led me to having just being socially awkward, because I'm picking up everything. I was just always like the late bloomer or everything. So I'm just checking to see if it's still recording. Okay, bet. But yeah, I was just a late bloomer and everything. Everything just happened like a little bit slower for me, right? So that led to me feeling like a little bit socially awkward growing up. And I was watching this documentary, right? You know, I'm a pretty funny person now. A lot of people would consider me, you know, most of my videos are like comedic content. And a lot of comedians, I was watching this documentary, they talked about how they learned to be funny naturally, like intrinsically inside of them, as like a defense mechanism growing up. And I realized that's where I got like my sense of humor from, because when you socially awkward, like, you know, it's not the best trait and quality as far as like making friends, you know, kind of pushes people away. And me, I guess subconsciously realizing that, I developed a sense of humor to kind of make up for the social awkwardness, to kind of break the ice. And I realize every time I make a joke or say something or do something funny, now that makes people comfortable, go from uncomfortable based off my social awkwardness to comfortable and like more willing to talk and like more accepted and like, you know, I fit in, which is what every kid is looking for when you're growing up. So that's really where my sense of humor developed from growing up. You know, it was kind of just like a defense mechanism for me to make up for my shyness and social awkwardness and stuff. And it just carried into, you know, whenever you do something, whenever you practice something, you just naturally get better at it. Now it's just like subconscious. I just naturally crack jokes and stuff, like, you know, as I move and groove throughout life. But yeah, I was super shy though, going up into high school, super socially awkward. And it just like, now, not only am I neglected by, I felt like I was neglected by family, but I also felt like I was neglected by like my peers, like people at school too. So I just never felt like I fit in anywhere. Let me see, I talked about that. So yeah, I got to high school, and this is where I started to break out of my shell, I guess you could say. Sophomore, junior year, you know, I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'3", so naturally I got into sports. I started running track, played football. I was never good at basketball. I already know, like, a lot. Whenever I run into people, they see how tall and they're like, "Yo, you play basketball?" No, I was never good at basketball. Please stop asking me if I play basketball. Not every person that's over 6 foot plays basketball. But yeah, I ran track and I played football. I was decent at track because it doesn't require too much hand-eye coordination, and I have pretty long legs, so I did hurdles, so it came in handy. But yeah, you already know, if you're in high school and you play sports, like, that brings your, you know, social acceptance and clout, like, through the roof. So once I started playing sports, I got a little bit more confidence to myself. Started to be more well known in school, I guess. Got my braces off, got a bit taller, more attention from girls. So, you know, your boy got a little boost in his confidence. So, you know, I started to break out of my shell. I started talking to more people. I started to develop into the personality that I have now. And you know how, like, they say in high school and college, you find yourself. That's when I felt like I finally started to step into my real personality, because the shyness and social awkwardness was not really me. It was kind of just like me, like a defense mechanism, like a wall. Like, I was afraid to interact with people, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of looking weird. But once, you know, I gained a little bit of confidence, you know, all that went out the window. I was just, you know, boom. And the sense of humor helped too, that I had developed to defend against the social awkwardness. But if I'm rambling right now, I'm sorry. It's just hard for me to, I'm nervous. But, like, yeah. So I broke out of my shell sophomore, junior year. I got more confident. And I didn't realize this growing up and in high school, but I actually suffered from depression for a long time. And you would think that was the depression, like, because of, like, you know, you being shy and socially awkward. It actually started around the same exact time, me looking back, because I didn't know I was depressed when I was depressed. But looking back, I can honestly say that it started around the same time that I started to break out of my shell and become more confident. Become more confident and more popular at school and stuff through sports. And I started going to parties, you know, started getting attention from girls, stuff that never happened for me before, you know. So I'm souped. But that's when the depression started, because I felt so much of a need to fit in. You know, I'm playing sports. You know, I'm trying to make black friends now because so many people consider me an Oreo for so long, and I had so many white friends, and I just didn't feel like I could relate to them. I just wanted to be around people that I felt like I could relate to, that I could fit in with. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'm black. I'm trying to make more black friends. Let me try and play sports. You know, that's what people that look like me do. So and when you're in high school, that's the main thing that you're focused on. Like, let's be real here. When you're in high school, the only thing you care about is, like, popularity and fitting in. And I hope people like me. And that was me. That was my mindset. I was just praying, you know, I hope people like me. I hope people like me. I hope I fit in. But it was almost like a void, I guess you could say, inside of me that I was trying to fill with people, you know. And I was trying to, you know, fill it up with acceptance, social acceptance, and popularity, and that's where the depression started. Like, it, and when I talk about everything else, like into college and stuff, you'll see. But, like, it definitely started around that time. And yeah, I just started craving acceptance and attention through, like, sports, you know, parties. Later into college, I was joining a ton of orgs. Then I started creating content, and, like, it just went crazy once I started doing the videos. But like I said, me being neglected feeling like I was neglected for so long in my family life and at school growing up, and being shy and just being left out. When I tell you, like, I really had no friends. Like, it sounds mad, like, it's not, yeah, but it's true. Like, elementary school, like, middle school, like, I would just, when the teacher's like, all right, everybody pick groups, I'll just be like the one kid, like, that was too shy to, like, put myself out there, and, like, the one person that nobody picked because nobody really talked to. Like, that's the type of kid I was, you know, like, the type of person that nobody really noticed. So I just felt neglected for so long. And now that I'm coming to high school, and I realized that all this time I had this personality, because once I got more comfortable, I realized that I had this personality all along. It's just I wasn't comfortable putting it out there. So now once I realized I had this personality that attracts so many people and that makes me popular and I get girls off of this and all this other stuff, you know, it was like a drug almost, you know, like when people say clout is a drug, people say that to bring other people down and bash people, but it's true. And it especially affects people. Like what happens in your childhood trauma, I don't know if you could call it trauma, but what happens to your childhood, it really does affect you in your adulthood. Like it's literally has a direct correlation. Like what happens to you as a child molds you into the person you become as an adult. So like me feeling like I was neglected, it was like just always craved attention. That's how, and obviously you can see that leads into like the videos and everything up until now. But yeah, so it was like I couldn't get enough. Like I was always going to parties, I was always out. I was just always just people. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to fit in. I wanted people to like me so much because I just wanted to, you know, make up for that neglect that I felt inside. So, yeah, you know, this is where, you know, the rebellious teen years coming, you know, that little phase where it's just like you just going out and doing everything that your parents tell you not to do. So I started lying to my parents all the time. I'd go out, and football and track gave me like a really good reason to be out. And I realized that, and I immediately started using that to my advantage to go out to parties and hang out with friends. So if I want to go out to a party, oh, I have this meet, or I have practice, or if I want to hang out with friends or hanging out with a girl, oh, I got practice, I got to meet. So it was like all my time at this point was just being spent out with friends and girls and stuff like that. And sports was giving me a great excuse to be out. And it was also boosting my popularity and likability with people. So it was like, yo, at this point in my head, I'm the man. Like everything is going so great, right? So I started lying to my parents to go out, sneak out. And it started with me lying to my parents, and it's like I got so good at lying, I just started lying about everything that I felt like if the truth was something that people wouldn't like, I'll lie about it. And that's how much I wanted to fit in. That's how much I wanted people to like me. So I just started lying about everything. And this is obviously with my religious upbringing and me growing up. My father's a pastor. That's not something I was taught to do. That's not one of the values or morals that was instilled in me. But it's like, you see how I started to change? So it's like, I just started lying about everything. I started my track team. They would go out and steal, you know, like designer clothes and like athletic wear and stuff from stores like Nike and stuff like that. And like when I first was like aware, I was like, oh, I would never do that. Like there was so many things I was saying I would never do. And then, you know, peer pressure, you know, I wanted to fit in and like they're pressuring me to do it. And I'm like, you know what? It's not gonna hurt. And then eventually you give something like that an inch, and next thing you know, they got a mile. So it just got to the point where it's like, and then I started to enjoy it so much because now they like me more. I fit in, you know, because I'm stealing and I'm doing the same things as them. And like all this new stuff that I'm getting, Nike, Polo, like we was stealing everything. I'm going to school, I'm fly as heck. So it's like, okay, I see, you know, like I never was able to really dress like that. Like I never really got crazy like clothes from my parents. So like me stealing it, it's like, you know, gain more confidence and stuff like that going to school. And it's like now I fit in even more. You know, but even with all of this stuff, I still always felt like I was different, and I always felt like I was left out. Like as much as I tried to fit in, people will always ask me like, yo, like, why don't you drink? Why don't you smoke? You know, why don't you have sex? And I always tell people I'm waiting to have sex until marriage. Even when I was like, you know, starting to deviate from like what my parents instilled for me when I was young, I would just always like, you know how it is, Haitian parents, they drill. If you don't learn nothing from a Haitian parent, they will drill into your mind, you do not have sex until you get married, right? I didn't know why I was doing it. You know, I'm young. I understand, I have the understanding now, but it's like, they don't, I feel like a lot of, and I feel like it's not, it may or may not be their fault, but like they don't do the best job of explaining to you why. They just tell you like, yo, do not have sex until you get married or you're gonna die. You're just gonna go to hell. Like, so I was like, all right, bet, I ain't gonna do that. That's something I don't want. So, you know, people just always question me like, you know, why don't you drink? Why don't you smoke? And even as much as I was deviating, I was still very much hold on to certain values that were just, it was drilled in. Because like I told you, I lived in the church. My father's a pastor. Everywhere he went, we was there too. Can the pastor's family please stand up? Like, y'all know how it is. My other PKs out there, pastor's kids, y'all know how. Okay. I don't know what happened, but it stopped recording. But yeah. Yeah, I just always still felt like different, because people would just always ask me like, why don't you drink? Why don't you drink? Why don't you have sex? And yeah, I would just always stand firm on those, even though I didn't know why I was really like abstaining from certain things. But I just knew like, yo, this is what my parents told me to do, and I'm not gonna do it, right? So I just always still felt a sense still left out, as much as I was starting to get accepted in high school and stuff like that. And yeah, even with me just saying like, yo, I'm never gonna have sex until I get married, and like people would clown me, of course, people would joke on me and stuff like that, but I would try my hardest not to let it get to me. And like it was just something that like I was like, you know, I want this to be an accomplishment for myself, where I don't end up having sex until I get married. And you know, peer pressure gets to you. My junior year of high school, I think it was towards the end of that year, 2016, I ended up getting head from a girl, you know, and ended up engaging in oral sex. And like, that's sex, you know. And in my mind, I'm trying to convince myself, oh, it's just head, you know. It's not sex, so I'm still a virgin. So it's like, since I already did that, I was like, you know what? I might as well, like, you know, do it again. So I already did it. But it's, I'm not actually having sex though, so I'm still a virgin. And like, I convinced myself, you know, when you're sinning, you try and justify your sins, right? So, yeah, I just kept, you know, trying to justify that for myself. And like, I would just, you know, move and groove with girls, and you know, I was fornicating with a lot of girls, and I never ended up, you know, actually getting into vaginal intercourse, like vaginal sex, I guess you could call it. But so in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm still a virgin, but like, you know, whatever type of penetration, you lost it. So yeah, it was like little by little, I'm starting to break down all these values and morals that are instilled with me, because of like my voracious appetite. That's a big word, damn. Because of me wanting so badly just to fit in and be like everybody else around me. When you're in high school, you want to be accepted, you know. I just wanted everybody to accept me, you know. I started watching a lot of porn like late middle school, and I say around late middle school, early high school, I started watching a lot of porn. Because, you know, that's around that age where your hormones start going crazy. And especially if you're a guy, y'all guys know how it is. Like, your hormones is through the roof, like from like 16 to forever. Forever, really. Like, you just, hey, that's just how it is as a guy. But I mean, I started watching a lot of porn, and I felt really, really guilty about it, because nobody in my family knew. And obviously I come from a really religious family. So like, even you know, we try and like make certain sins seem like it's more than another, but at the end of the day, every sin is sin. God sees all sin as like, you know, it's all evil, it's all wrong. But you know, there's certain sins that us Christians, we look at as like, whoa, you can't do that. And so it's like, even with my family being super religious, even the smallest things I feel super guilty about. So like, porn, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm bugging, like this is really bad. But like, it felt so good, you know, I couldn't keep myself from doing it. So it's just something I felt super guilty about, I was super embarrassed about, and so I didn't want to tell anybody. You know, that's one of the things I was going to take to the grave with me, I guess. But it's like, really not, you know, we all fall short. But and that's one thing that the devil does. He tries to make you feel like you're so unworthy, and that you're so dirty, and that you're so guilty that you can't come back to God, and that you know, that you've done so much that you can't even, you know, couldn't even live how you're supposed to live, even if you wanted. But like, that's one of the devil's tactics, and trying to lie to you. That's all a lie at the end of the day. But yeah, I vowed to never smoke, and I ended up smoking. I say like the summer after my freshman year of college. I will always tell people like, yo, I ain't never gonna have sex, I ain't never gonna smoke. Little by little, like I said, everything, I'm never gonna steal, everything that I said I was never gonna do, started doing it. So it's like, I started out, I'm like, yo, I'm Christian. And it's like, you know how it is when you grow up in a Christian household, you tell everybody you're Christian. Like, when people ask you, and I go to church every Sunday, but it's like, little by little, I'm Christian, but it's like, over time, am I really Christian? Like, is there really a difference between me and everybody else if we're all doing the same thing? And that just led to me wanting to fit in. And for you to fit in, y'all all got to do the same thing. If you want the world to accept you, you got to move like the world. And that's what I started doing. But yeah, I smoked for the first time in 2018, and like that was like kind of a big deal for me and for anybody that found out that really knew me. They're like, "Yo, Salo smoked." Like he said, he would never. I've never seen. Like I was around. You know how it is when you're in high school. You're around people that smoke all the time, and I was just always be like, "Nah, I don't smoke." And I finally did it. So it was not only was it a big shock for me, but it was a big shock for people around me. And I feel like it kind of gave like people more leeway to kind of be like, I bet. Now we're going to introduce you to this. Now we're going to have you do this. Because the more you give the peer pressure, the more peer pressure is going to take from you. So, that's what I started doing. I just started giving in more and more. But, yeah, so into college, I started out as an exercise science major. For all my Caribbeans and Africans out there, the only professions that your parents want you to get into is the medical field, law, and being an engineer. That's it. If you ain't one of those, you are a failure. So I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew I was not finna do that 12, 15, 30 years, whatever it is. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna be a physical therapist. I like sports, and it has something to do with medicine. So I kind of, in a sense, did that to please my parents, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do coming into college. I had no idea. This is before I discovered my passion for creating content. So I really had like 2 years before. So I had no idea what I wanted to do in life. I had no idea. So I was like, you know what? I guess I like sports. So I'm going to just do physical therapy. And I decided to do exercise science. Hated it. I did not like it at all. So I'm taking classes in college that I hate. And another thing that was in the back of my mind once I got to college, because, the popularity that I gained in high school, it wasn't until really the end of high school, right? I started playing sports and I got tall, I got my braces off, I started getting invited to the cool people parties. It really wasn't until the end of high school. So most of my school life before that, I was like, the lame kid, like, yo, get him out of here. So it was all new to me, like I was just like, yo, this is so awesome. And like for it to be over, us graduating, like, can I do this again in college? Are people going to like me in college? Like, that was always in the back of my mind. Like, is this was that luck? Or like, can I do it again? Or am I really that type of person where like, people just like me? So, like I said, that neglect kept following me up through adulthood. And it was like, I just wanted acceptance and people to like me so much to the point where it's like, I was willing to do anything almost. So, yeah, with me, you not liking your major, and on top of like you like experiencing that neglect and need for acceptance like I'm talking about, that is a combination for you to fail so many different classes. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started failing classes, and I was, like I said, I already got into the lying. So I was lying to my parents. And once you get to college, like y'all know how it is, your parents aren't too involved with what's actually going on. They don't get your grades anymore, which is like the best thing in the world for somebody coming right out of high school. They don't get your grades anymore. The professors can't call them. Like, that's a law. So like, I was like, yo, it's lit. Like, when they asking me how I'm doing in school, I could just lie. And yeah, I just started failing classes, and I really started prioritizing my social life over my grades and over school. Just because, like I said, I was just so focused on fitting in. So it just became like a snowball effect, like it was just bad. So yeah, I ended up joining a whole bunch of different organizations, and I was just trying to get myself out there to every party, and like I was just trying to be everywhere. And by the end of my freshman year, I ended up, accomplishing exactly what I wanted. I got super popular. I was basically cool with like almost everybody on campus, and it carried over into my sophomore year. Super popular. I knew everybody. And it just felt great. I was like, yo, like I'm the man, it started getting to my head. I ain't gonna lie. My head started getting a little boosted. I ain't gonna lie. And yeah, I was like, yo, I came from, but it's like, you have to understand, for like somebody going from like somebody that felt like nobody ever liked them, and you was getting bullied, and you was never accepted, and nobody ever really wanted to be friends with you, you know what I mean? Like, you was super shy and like awkward, and now it's like you super popular, and it's like everybody love you, I guess you could say. Like, it just felt like I didn't even know how to really deal with it. It just felt great. So, yeah, but all this time, you know, I'm gaining all this popularity. Grades start, it's usually a correlation. Not all the time, I'm going to say, because there are some, you know, pretty well-known people at their campus that actually do really well in school academically. But a lot of the time, if that one guy that's partying and always in everybody's face, and you see him on everybody IG story, most of the time he got like a 2.0. That's usually what it is, 2.5 maybe. But yeah, your grades are super low, and that's what happened to me. And it got even worse because towards the end of my sophomore year, that's when I started the videos. And I discovered my passion for the videos, and that's why I decided, yo, you know, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a content creator, I'm going to take this to the moon. And once I figured out that this was something that I love to do, you might hear like voices and stuff upstairs. This is my family and stuff, but I'm going to try my best to talk over them. But yeah, me knowing that I had a sense of humor, me knowing that I had this vibrant personality, charisma, you know, all these different personality traits that I knew that I had. I was super outgoing, super extroverted. Those people tell me for a while to start a YouTube channel. I never really had the confidence enough to do it. Finally gained the confidence, and I finally just told myself, like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And it ended up working out great. And when I tell you, like, as good as it was, that was probably like the worst thing that could have happened for me. Because now it's like, you know, I'm super popular at school. Now it's like I'm doing, like, my videos is like, at this point, going viral, like my third video in, posted on the Shade Room. So it's like, you can probably guess, it was a lot of it was getting to my head, like badly, you know, like one, my ego was through the roof. And as naturally as guys, you have a big ego. My ego is through the roof as much as I tried to hide it. And I didn't want to seem Hollywood or anything like that. Of course, you know dang well you was going to feel yourself. Like, you know dang well I'm super prideful, super egotistical. In my mind, though, I tried not to show it. But it's like, it's because of where I came from. You know, I felt like nobody liked me, and now I'm the man. So it's like, yo, can't nobody tell me nothing, you know. I done built this popularity for myself, this social media platform. Everybody loved me. Like, I did this, me. That was my mindset, like, me. I'm the man. I could do anything. Like, I just felt like Superman, you know. So towards the end of my sophomore year, right after I started doing videos, I decided I wanted to change my major to communications and media arts because I felt like that was more in line with my passion for videos. And I'm like, yo, like, you know, I'm finally going to start being able to do well in school because, you know, the only reason I was failing classes was because I was in a major I didn't like. I was trying to convince myself that once I changed to a major that I like, I ain't going to fail no more classes. Nope, I was wrong. Failed even more classes. So, yeah, I continue to fail. I tried to apply to get into the program, like the following semester, rejected. And when I tell you guys that crushed me, it was just like so bad. And the reason being was that my GPA was so low because, you know, I really wasn't putting any effort into school. And, you know, like around that time, it was just like as popular as I was, and I was going to all these parties, and I was getting so much attention from girls, and I was continuing to fornicate with girls, and I was getting, it was getting to the point where it was just super easy, you know. I was getting like, not even like, I don't even want to talk about myself like that, obviously, but it's like I was almost getting every girl that I wanted, you know, whereas before I was getting none. So to me, it's like, yo, I'm unstoppable. But, yeah, like, outside of like the social sphere of my life, because I was putting so much into the social sphere of my life, everything else was suffering. Like, when I tell you everything, and I was doing a great job of hiding it, but everything else, like, I was failing all of my classes. I was broke. I really was like financially in a horrible state. I was taking out loans for like anything that I wanted to do, anything expensive that I wanted to do. And I would have little jobs here and there, but like, I lacked so much discipline. I really couldn't put my money to good use, and I could not save. And like, whenever I had some type of money, it was just always, you know, I always end up blowing it somehow or another. So my financial state was horrible, school horrible. You know, I really fell into a depression. Like, as much as everything seemed really good outside looking in, like, I just felt, at the time I still wasn't aware of it, but like, you know, I just felt like an emptiness, you know. I felt like a void within me, and I couldn't really explain it, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I didn't really tell anybody. You know, I didn't tell even my closest friends. It was just like something me and God knew about. But like, as good as everything was going for me, I still felt like I was missing something. And this is for someone that came from nothing really, and I'm getting everything that I felt like I ever wanted. Girls, you know, not money yet, but the money was on the way. I felt like with YouTube, you know, popularity. I'm getting invited to all the parties. Like, it's lit, but like I still felt like something was missing and I couldn't explain it. And I'm not gonna. My bad, y'all. My camera died. But yeah. Despite everything that outside looking in seemed that was going so great for me, on the inside I felt horrible. You know. I just felt like something was missing. I couldn't put my finger on it. You know, I couldn't explain it. And yeah, you know, I'm still going to every party, fornicating with a bunch of different girls, watching pornography, lying about a whole bunch of different things. Just, you know, not living right. But on the outside looking in, it looked like my life was great, right? And even at school, it was to the point where like I knew, because of, you know, what I was known for, that like people would just expect like for me to be happy all the time, and or for me to just be energetic and to just be solid all the time, you know, to be the solid everybody knows all the time. And it got to the point where like I just felt like I had to put up a fake persona, you know, like I had to almost play a character when I was out and around people on campus. And it was very draining, you know, because I'm naturally me. And by that I mean, you know, naturally funny. Like I said, like it just became a natural part of me. Like, got a sense of humor. I'm extroverted. I like talking and stuff like that. But there's times where, like, you know, like I just want to have a real, like, serious conversation. I just want to, you know, and one of the things that was annoying for me, at least, for when I started doing videos, I felt like people never really saw me as like someone that could be serious, or saw me as somebody that could be like actually hold a real smart conversation. And on top of people always like expecting, like, you know, this, oh, Solo's here, you know, I want to hear a joke. Like, I almost felt like I was like a vending machine and people wanted to put in a quarter and wanted a joke or to be entertained or wanted me to dance or do something goofy. And like, you know, it was just very hard for me, you know. And it was just very draining. You know, I just didn't like feeling like I had to perform. Every time I was around people, I felt like I had to perform, you know, or if I wasn't what people expected, you know, I'd be disappointing people. And that kind of fed it. It kind of tied into like my feeling of like acceptance and like me feeling like I had to, you know, be what people expected me to be. Like, I was just into pleasing people so much. I was sacrificing my own happiness to please everybody else around me, you know. And it just got bad. Even with the videos, you know, I was just pumping so many videos out. One, to try and kind of to take my mind off of what I was feeling inside, as far as like the depression and the emptiness. But it's like just to please people, you know. People were like, yo, we want this, we want that. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put out this video, all right, I'm gonna put out this video. And like people hit me, be like, yo, this video made my day. I was going through this, that, and the third, and like, you know, it just made me smile. It made me so happy. Like, it made my family so happy. All these different things. So, like, temporarily, stuff like that would make me feel good. It made me feel happy, like seeing other people. But like, or feeling like I was accepted, or like anything like that. You know, that dopamine release. But it was always temporary, you know. And it was like, it's like an addiction, you know. I had like a social high, I guess. Anytime a video went viral, anytime I went to a party, anytime I was with a girl or anything like that, it was like, you know, that was my high. I didn't do any drugs, but it's like I still had like, you know, pain and I guess you could say emptiness and depression inside. So to kind of cope with that, I would just use everything social to ease that pain. And it's like a high doesn't last forever. So it's like you gotta keep chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing that next party, that next girl, that next viral video. And it just got so draining because I was just always just in this cycle of like party, video, girl, videos. And, you know, it just got to the point where it was like, I'm a zombie. And like, you know, going back to where I felt like I had to just always play a character on campus, I just started isolating myself on campus. I really didn't want to be around people all the time because I just didn't want to feel like I had to perform all the time. And yeah, just also I was just depressed, and like, you know, I just wasn't feeling, you know, just wasn't feeling like me. And yeah, COVID started, and it made everything worse. It was like the worst thing that could possibly happen, right? But aside from that, I'm gonna say COVID was actually a blessing and a curse. But you know, I'll get into that later in the video. But you know, as far as like when it first hit, like it was just bad, because now, you know, you're not around people. The you know, social high that I used to crave so much, like a chunk of that was being cut out. You know, I still had the videos. I was still putting out videos from my house, from my basement. For those of y'all that have been supporting me for a while, y'all know what I'm talking about. The pranks and stuff like that. But yeah, it really got to the point where it was like, you know, now all I really have is videos. You know, that's where my source of happiness was coming from. Not even happiness, because it was temporary. So it was like I just put my all into that once COVID started, and like school just got worse. I just, at that point, it was like I really just stopped going to classes, because now it's on Zoom. Like now it's like I don't even have to deal with the professor talking to me or giving me a dirty look or something like that if I don't go to class. Like there's no consequences. If I don't go to class, I ain't never gonna see you. So it was just bad. And you know, I just had so much incentive with like YouTube and doing videos and stuff. I was like, you know what, it don't even matter if I'm failing or if I do bad in school, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be rich. Like that was just my mindset. Like, you know, like I'm gonna make so much money off of YouTube. Like it's gonna make up for all of this. It's not gonna, once I have this money, I'm gonna be rich. It's gonna make up for all of my problems. It's lit. You know, and that was just my mindset. I was just putting all of this weight on YouTube and social media and my social media career. But, you know, I wasn't focusing on the here and now. And like, you know, I was just being super prideful. Like, yo, I'm gonna take care of it myself. I'm gonna fix this. You know, you know, because of what I'm doing, I'm gonna end up being rich and super successful and happy. So that's the mindset I had. But it got to the point where, because I was using social media to like cope, like I still had that passion for it and like YouTube and stuff, but I was really abusing it to cope with what I felt inside. And it got to the point where like I just lacked motivation and discipline to get myself to do anything else. Like anything, like school, like I was talking about. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was losing a lot of weight. Anybody that knows me knows that I love to eat, and I was not really eating like I usually do. I lost a lot of weight. I got super skinny. You know, my finances, like I talked about, got even worse. Like I had all these loans that I was like, stupid loans that I was taking out, like stupidly expensive loans that I was taking out to just do stuff so that I could fit in and I wouldn't seem lame if I couldn't afford something. And like, you know, these payments are coming up and I don't got no money. So it's like they're just piling up on top of each other. I was lying to cover everything up, you know, anything questionable that people might be able to see from the outside. And I was doing a great job of hiding all of this stuff. Like you wouldn't even be able to tell that I was going through all of this stuff. Like when I was, you know, my depression and just everything in my personal life crumbling, I was just doing a great job of hiding it. I didn't want anybody to know. I was embarrassed about it and ashamed. And, you know, I just lied to my friends, to my family, everybody. It didn't matter who you were. I was lying to you because I didn't want anybody to know. And, yeah, I even started to isolate myself from my friends, really. That I feel like was kind of subconscious. I was just, like, in a depression. You know, naturally, I wasn't talking to my friends as much. I wasn't eating. Even my mom noticed I wasn't really eating like that. And it got to the point where, like, every time I tried to fix my situation, I was like, all right, you know what, this semester I'm gonna really take school seriously. And I had like, I really, shout out to my friends, you know, I had you know, people that was trying to help me. Like, you know, there was a couple people that knew I was doing bad at school. Shout out to my best friend Jazz. She's like my guidance counselor with school and stuff. But she was one of the people that like knew how badly I was doing with school, and she was always trying to help me and pick me back up. But it got to the point where even she got frustrated, because you can only help somebody that wants to be helped. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And, you know, I was just saying, I'm going to do good. I'm going to pick myself back up. But my actions were not following, you know. And it was like, I literally, like, it's not that the will wasn't there. Like, I really wanted to do better. But it was like every time I tried to do better for myself, every time I tried to pick myself back up, every time I took 2 steps forward, it was almost like I took like 80 steps back. So it just got to the point where it's just frustrating and like, you know, I even started, you know, and this is where I'm a, you know, get super personal here. I even started thinking, I never seriously thought about suicide, but I was just thinking about it like, you know, if I were to die or if something were to happen to me, would people care? You know, would people really would it matter to people? You know what I mean? And because I just felt like, you know, yeah, I had gotten super popular. Yeah, I had gotten some social media fame, I guess you could call it. But like, I felt like a lot of that was just surface level. Like people only cared about like what I did and when I was providing, because you know I wasn't really making a lot of real genuine relationships. I was really just trying to just like get to know as many people as I possibly could and get as popular as I possibly could. And boom, now I got social media, like get everybody to see it and like me because, you know, I'm popping on this and because I got this personality, you know? And I just felt like, yo, would people really care? And I started genuinely, I never like made any attempts or anything like that or seriously thought about killing myself, thank God. But yeah, you know, those were certain thoughts that were going through my mind. Just me being real. And yeah, you know, I was just continuing to use videos and my social life and parties and girls to just fill that void that was eating up. Like every time, like it was getting to the point where like I would hit all these crazy milestones with my social media. Like, you know, everybody that knows me knows how bad I wanted to get monetized on YouTube and hit 10K on Instagram and hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and all these different stuff. And I had all these goals for myself that I set out for 2020. When I tell you guys I crushed those goals, like it wasn't even close. It was like something I wanted to accomplish by December, and it was like by April, May, I had all this stuff already done, crushing these goals, like obliterating them. And it was like, as happy as I'd expect myself to be, like a year prior, you know, I'd kill to have some of those accomplishments that I had. But it's like I was doing it, and it was just like every time I'd accomplish something new, you know, like 2020 was a crazy year. Like all of my stuff blew up in that year, but it was like I just felt nothing. You know, it didn't do anything for me. Like it literally brought me no extra happiness as much as I thought it would. I was like, you know, maybe this will bring me happiness. And all it really was like, you know, once I hit 10K, it was like I saw somebody else with more, and I just, you know, I got envious, or like, you know, now I want 20K, or like, it was just to the point where you're never satisfied. You always want more, and you never have enough. And that's what I realized. I started realizing that even before I had my encounter with God, like all this material stuff that we chase, you know, no matter what it was, for me, it was like, you know, clout and like social media. If that's me being honest, you know, I was chasing acceptance. You know, I had felt neglected since I was like from a very young age. So like for me, like clout was like that drug, that acceptance, that like stuff that I so much craved. And as much as like I felt like I wanted it and it was gonna make me happy, or it didn't, and it just got to the point where it's like, you know, I just want maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, and it's never enough. It never satisfies you. You're never satisfied with material wealth and all this material, you know, jargon, you know. So yeah, like around that time, I'm gonna say like right before I had my encounter with God on October 6, 2020, the beginning of my fall semester, my senior year. I'm graduating later now from Montclair because of all the all the classes that I done flunked. But you know, it's all God's plan. Everything happens for a reason. But the beginning of my senior year, that fall semester, I literally felt like I was at rock bottom in my life, like emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, academically, every single aspect of my life. I just felt, aside from social media, like that was the only thing that kept me sane, I guess you could say. That was the only thing that made me felt like I still mattered, that I still, you know what, at least I have this. Like I was putting all of my purpose in my life into that. I was like, you know what, like at least people love me for this. There's people out there that see me and think I'm super cool and all this stuff, but little do they know what I'm actually going on inside. But you know, it gave me worth. It felt like I'm worth something now. I actually mean something. I actually matter because, you know, I have some type of clout. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a content creator. But outside of that, like I just felt like I was at rock bottom. And it's crazy because outside looking in, most people probably, I'll say, or most if not all people probably, unless the people that was maybe like closer to me, but like couldn't even really tell. Like, you couldn't even, everybody was like, yo, Salo, I'm trying to be like you. Like, you're always doing, I'm so proud of you, bro. Like, you're going up, you know, you're doing so well. All these positive things that people are telling me about myself and always giving me compliments and all types of different stuff like that. But it's like, despite all of that, I just always felt the complete opposite. Like, I just felt like rock bottom. Like, none of it mattered. You know, no matter how much I did and no matter how many people liked me or I got to like me, none of it mattered, you know? So, yeah, that leads us to, I'm sorry if that was super long. Like I said, like, you know, I'm nervous, so I'm kind of rambling and I might be giving more details than necessary. I'm not the best storyteller, but yeah, that brings us to the night of October 6th, 2020, when everything happened and my life changed forever. So starting off with that day, right? I didn't have class that day. It felt like a regular day. Like, when I tell y'all this was the most regular day, up until that night, of course. But when I tell y'all it started off as the most regular day ever, like, it was just a regular day. I woke up, I didn't have class, and like I told you, I was broke. Like, when I tell you I was broke. No money. Like, nothing. But I didn't care, because I was like, yo, I got monetized in like May, and I started making like a little bit of money off of YouTube, and I started getting like a couple dollars from like brand deals and sponsorships like that, but like nothing crazy and nothing to the point where you could call somebody rich. Like, not even close at all. Like, I was broke as heck. So yeah, you know, just like everybody else during the pandemic, I'm trying to get this unemployment. Like, I had no money in my pockets. And mind you, I'm in debt. On top of me being broke, I'm in debt too, because I took out so many stupid loans just to do stuff and fit in with my friends and impress people. So I'm trying to go to the employment center that day. And I go downstairs, I'm getting ready to start my day, and I run into my mom, right? And if you guys have been following me for a while, y'all know how, you know, spiritual my mother is, and how good of a relationship with God that my mom has. Like, her catchphrase, Jesus is coming soon. Whatever chance she get, she'll tell you. Whenever I record her, like, she sees a camera, okay, this is my chance to minister, tell people the gospel. Jesus coming soon. But yeah, like, when I tell y'all, like, it's not even like she's just like that on camera. She's like that all the time. Like, she's a prayer warrior. Shout out to my mom. Such a great woman of God. I'm so thankful for having her in my life, because I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. But yeah, you know, I come downstairs, and like always, you know, because since high school, like, you know, I'm rebellious, always out partying. So like, from my parents' perspective, I'm wilding, and justifiably so, because I really was. But they were like really, really, really concerned about me for a long time, and always praying about me, and always telling me like, yo, you know, you're on the wrong path. You know, Jesus coming soon. You give your life to God. Just like any, like, you know, young person, you know, teenager, early 20s. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to hear that, bro. Like, leave me alone, you know. So I come downstairs, and like, you know, she gets to talking about Jesus to me, like she always does, and she's like, you know, Sami, and she called, for people that don't know, she calls me, ever since I was young, she would call me like Sam or like Sami, but she would be like, Sami, Jean mener la vie là. Like, she was just like, which means like, yo, the way you're living your life now, like, she was just like, yo, Jesus is coming soon. If you don't give your life to God, you know, you're going to end up on a path of destruction, you know, just preaching to me like she always does. And like, it got to the point where like I could just filter it out. Like, it's in one ear, out the other. Like, you know how your parents is talking to you on the phone? You're just like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was just, you know, I wasn't really listening. But it was just like any other day, and she's preaching to me. I'm like, okay, Mom. And then that's when I don't know what was up with my car at the time. Actually my car was like, I'd done so much damage to my car also over the years of just going out so much that like it was actually broken down for like months, and I wasn't allowed to drive. Like, that's how bad I was really wilding, y'all. I was wilding. But yeah, so I knew I wanted to go to the unemployment center, but like my car was just sitting in the driveway and nobody could drive it because it was like a couple $1,000s with the damage. Like, I was really bugging. So I knew my sister was in the dining room, the next room over. I thought she was doing homework or something, because I briefly saw her when I was coming downstairs to the kitchen. So I go over because I'm trying to ask her for her keys to her car so I could go out. And I see her praying. Like, she's deep in prayer and in devotion. And I'm like, okay. But I don't really think anything of it. I just see her praying. And I'm like, yo, can I borrow your keys? I need to go out. And then she's like, yeah, sure. So I'm like, I bet. So I take her keys, I go out, and I go to the unemployment centers, and I live in Jersey. I go to both of them in Newark, and both of them are closed. And when I tell you guys, like I told you guys, around this point, I was literally, like, physically, emotionally, everything in my life at a rock bottom. So when I tell you guys, that was super frustrating for me. And y'all know how frustrating it was. Or there might be some people that still struggling trying to get their unemployment. Thank God, I finally got mine eventually. But yeah, like when you first trying to get it, yo, you call in, they don't pick up. High volume of calls. Call back another business day. I know it's not that many people calling. Damn, pick up my call. But yeah, it's just, yo, like, it was a struggle. You try and email you, they don't get back to your email. Like, it's a struggle trying to get your unemployment, especially when you out of work for so long. It's like, yo, how do I, thank God I didn't have no bills. I live with my parents, they take care of everything for me. But so I feel for the people that's out there that, they got a family to take care of. You got a family to feed, you got bills to pay. It's frustrating. But me, it's like, I really just wanted some type of money. I was 21 at the time. I'm 22 now. As a 21-year-old, you want some money in your pocket to be able to go out and do some of the things that you need to do. But it was just frustrating. It's like, yo, like, I have no money. I'm broke. So I got to the second unemployment center in Newark, and it was closed. And, like, I get in the car, and, like, just being real, I just start crying, yo. And I don't cry often. Like, anybody that knows me, I'm really not the best at letting out my emotions at all, really. Or like, I feel like that's the case with most guys, especially if you're African or Caribbean. But like, you're supposed to be strong and you're never supposed to cry. Never seen my dad cry to this day. Never seen him cry. So, I've never been like an emotional type of person. I never really cried. But I was so frustrated that day, I just started breaking down crying. And I'm in the car, and this is how frustrated I was, how rock bottom I was. I just started crying out to God. Something I never knew. I never do. But it was just like, I was just so desperate. I just started crying out to God. I'm like, God, why me? Please help me. I'm just praying. I'm crying out to God. And then my phone lights up. I get a notification on my phone. And next thing you know, I see it's a notification from Postmates saying that a delivery just popped up. For people that don't know what Postmates is, it's like a food delivery app, and you can make money off of that. That's something I would do here and there to make, a couple of dollars, because I was always broke, just to make some type of money. And I was like, wow. And like, what are the odds of me breaking down crying, me being at rock bottom, breaking down crying out to God, and me getting like a Postmates order, opportunity to make some money. I think it was like $20 worth of deliveries. So I'm like, yo, bet, it's lit. So I do the deliveries, and I make a couple dollars. And this is how much discipline I lacked as far as everything. I finally make the money, and like, I'm in debt. Damn, that was hard. that hard. I'm in debt. I have no type of money in my pockets. And what do I use the money for that I made? I hit up mad different girls on my phone trying to see who I could take out. I'm guilty. That's just what, that's just where my mind was. Whatever type of money I make, I'll see, like, I bet, what girl can I take out? And I was just dumb, irresponsible. But it's like, all of that stuff was just like me trying to fill that void, Like, I'm at rock bottom. Like, maybe a girl can make me feel good, Maybe, this or that can make me feel good. But yeah, spent it on a girl. So I take a girl out later that day. My voice cracked again. Dang, I'm nervous. But yeah, took a girl out later that day. And then after that, that's when my friends make plans to watch the NBA Finals. So this is where everything started. We get to my friend's house, and we're watching the finals. We made plans to watch the finals in his basement. We usually link up in my boy's basement to just hang out, watch games and stuff. And yeah, I think it's like it's 4 of us or 5 of us, and we're just chilling, and like, it feels like a regular day or a regular night. Everything's cool, good vibes, we're joking around. And then my friends smoke, so they're passing around like a pen. And for you guys that might not know what it is, it's like electric, like, there's like weed in the pen, basically. It's like a THC pen, and it's basically like an electric, like you smoke vapor. I'm not doing a good job of explaining this at all, but like y'all picking up what I'm putting down. You basically smoke. It's like an electric blunt. That's what it is basically. I guess I don't know. Somebody correct me in the comments. I'm rambling. I don't know. I'm nervous, guys. I'm nervous, but yeah, it's like an electric blunt, I guess you could say. But yeah, they're passing it around. And, like I said, my friends always, they'll always know, like, I don't smoke or anything like that. But, they'll always, like, try and, like, see, like, just ask me questions, like, yo, like, try and see my reasoning for stuff. So, like, yeah, they essentially just pressured me into smoking the pen. And, like, I just give in. I'm like, all right, I'm going to smoke it. It's whatever, because I had did it before, one time before, like 2 years ago, and I said I'd never do it. So I was like, since I already did it, I might as well do it. And I did edibles, later that year. It was just, yeah, I just got into a whole bunch of stuff that I never regularly did. So I did it, and I got high. And, it was my first time getting high, smoking, because my other experiences being high before were off of edibles. So, my first time getting high smoking, and it just started off as like a regular high. And, as far as like some anxiety and stuff, I guess everything felt normal as far as what a high is supposed to feel like. Then, the only way I can describe this, what happened after this, is I stepped into a spiritual encounter with God, like in that moment while I was high. I stepped into a spiritual encounter with God, and I felt like I stepped into like a spiritual battle or like spiritual warfare in my mind. And I'm gonna explain everything, y'all might be like, whoa, like what? What are you talking about? What do you mean? But yeah, it's hard to put everything into words. It's hard to like, verbalize everything, because I was basically seeing and hearing a whole bunch of different things. It was like a audio visual experience, I guess you could call it. But everything in reality was the exact same. We're still watching the game, and outside looking in, you would think I'm normal, just high. But like in my mind, it was like I stepped into like this spiritual realm. Like it was crazy. And in that moment, I'm seeing images and stuff, and I guess you could call them visions of my past and my future. And this is where I'm getting so much clarity about like so many different questions that I had about myself throughout my life. And that's where my upbringing, my childhood comes into play. And like all the understanding and everything I explained to you guys about my childhood, I basically finally understood all these different things, like why I was chasing so much clout and acceptance from people. Because, I never felt like I got that attention when I was younger, because I felt like I was neglected, and why, I always felt like I was left out, and I didn't fit in school, and just all these different questions that I had about myself, why I was socially awkward, and why I developed a sense of humor. All these different questions I had about myself were being answered in my mind. It was such a crazy. Anybody that's ever been high, like, the experience is like basically like a crazy experience where your mind basically thinks like a different way from how it usually even thinks. Like you're realizing and getting so much clarity about things that you've never had clarity on before. But yeah. I'm seeing the past, and like it's almost like I'm seeing so much of my life so far in the past to where I shouldn't even like remember. Like I'm seeing like parts of my past that shouldn't even be in my memory. You know what I mean? And it was crazy. And that's where, as far as my future, I seen a man on a stage. He was bald, and he had a beard, and he had a long white robe. And for some reason in my mind, I knew it was me. Like something just told me like it was me. So I knew it was me. It was me. I had to be around like 40 or something like that in the future, bald with a beard, long white robe on a stage, preaching to thousands of people. Like when I tell y'all thousands, like it looked like I was at like a mega church or something, right? And yeah, I saw myself preaching to thousands of people, and something just that told me that I was going to save thousands of people. I saw myself saving 20,000 people, 30,000 people, 40,000 people, thousands of people's lives. And obviously I'm not talking about physically saving people, spiritually saving people. Helping people gain their salvation in Christ. So I see myself doing that, and in that moment, I felt like God was finally telling me my purpose. Like I was finally aware of what my purpose was in life. I'm thinking that, I'm gonna go on to be this big YouTuber and entertainer, maybe a movie star, actor, something like that, comedian. I don't know. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I just knew what I'm gonna do. YouTube's gonna take me there, and YouTube's gonna be like, my gateway to this whole rich and famous lifestyle that I'm gonna have in the future. But I just always felt, as much as I wanted it for myself, like I told you guys, it just wasn't bringing me happiness. That alone, at least, it wasn't fulfilling what I was chasing. It stopped recording again. I don't know. I think it's like it only lets me record for a certain amount of time. My bad. But yeah, it just wasn't. YouTube wasn't filling that void. Social media and creating content just wasn't filling that void that I had inside. At least that alone. So, I felt like God finally showed me my purpose and what was going to fill that void. First of all, God being in my life, me having a relationship with God. But when you have a purpose in life, it gives you like a whole different like zeal, I guess you could say, motivation, energy to just attack life head on. Because let's say like you playing a video game, but there's no like, you have no incentive, you have no mission. Like if you playing any video game and they don't tell you what you're in the video game to be doing, like you don't really have much motivation to play the video games. It's like, all right, what am I playing this video game for? It might be fun at first, but eventually you're gonna get bored if there's no mission, there's no incentive. But getting that purpose, like once you find your purpose in life, you just have so much more motivation to just attack life head on every single day, because every single day you are coming closer to completing your purpose. This is going to help me complete my purpose. I need to do this to complete my purpose. I need to do this to fulfill my purpose. But when you don't have purpose, it's like you kind of just are lost and just floating around in life, kind of just, maybe I'm going to get some money, maybe I'm going to get a job, maybe I'm going to get married. Do things that you think you're supposed to be doing. Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying. Do things that you think you're supposed to be doing that's going to make you happy. But at the end of the day, you still feel that emptiness. And everybody feels that emptiness and that void inside. If you do not have a relationship with God, if you haven't accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, because us naturally as humans, you have a void inside of you. And only God can fill it. If I'm being real here, only God can fill that void. No matter how much weed you smoke, drugs you do, parties you go to, girls you have sex with, whatever porn you watch, whatever you do, I've been there, I've done that. Not saying that I've done everything, but it's like you chase all these worldly material things and nothing will make you whole. Nothing will fill that void but God. God is the one that will fill that void inside of you. God is what will make you feel complete. God is what will make you feel whole. And I finally realized that in that moment. So, yeah, I realized like, yo, I really have no more desire in gaining followers and gaining clout and stuff. Like, I just want to gain followers for Christ at this point. As corny as that might sound, as cliche as that might sound, but that's literally legit how I felt in that moment. And the spiritual, encounter that I was having. And I heard a voice almost like telling me that, because it was like in that moment, my brain was functioning at like a speed and at like a level that like I couldn't even fathom. Like I was just understanding stuff so quick, picking up stuff, like seeing stuff and reacting to stuff super quick, and just understanding stuff to a level that I never understood. I just had so much clarity, and I had a voice telling me that, I was going to be extremely wise, and which is why my name is Solomon. I was in that moment too. I was like understanding so many different signs in my life that were showing that my life was gonna lead up to that moment. But I was like, yeah, wow, no wonder my name is Solomon. He's a wise king in the Bible. But I had a voice telling me that I was gonna be extremely wise, and that that's what my level of wisdom was that's what my level of wisdom was going to be like what I was experiencing right then and there, that like functioning of my brain and thinking that I had never experienced before. That's what my level of wisdom was going to be like in the future, which is why I felt like, I was slower. I was always smart, but I was just always slower to pick up on things, and my reaction time was slow. Just my brain was just slower in the future, so that I would be humbled when I would have this immense wisdom, into adulthood. And I was like, yo, that makes so much sense. And yeah, I was just experiencing like a supernatural level of just intelligence and wisdom in that moment. Literally, like I felt it. I was just experiencing it, and something was just telling me like this is the wisdom that I was gonna have in the future. But I would have to work for it. You know, God wasn't just gonna just grant me with this immense wisdom and everything all at once. Like there were certain things that I had to work for in life to be able to accomplish. And yeah, I was just realizing all the different signs in my life. Like there's so many different things. If I talked about all the different signs, we'd be here all day. And as short as I'm trying to make this video, I already knew it was gonna be super long. Apologizing in advance before this goes up. I'm hoping somebody actually sits here and watch through this whole video and gets the message that God is trying to send out there through me. But yeah, I was just realizing all the different signs in my life that had led up to that moment. It was just so many different things, and that were just like clear as day in that moment. It's like I never saw it before, and now I'm finally realizing. I'm like, yo, that's what that meant. That's why my name is Solomon. You know, that's why my father's a pastor. I'm gonna follow in his footsteps eventually one day. Like so many different things. And in that moment, you know, I'm realizing all these different things, and I finally realized my purpose. And you know, I'm finally just ready. I'm like, yo, I'm ready for this new life. Like, you know, I want to live this life. I want to attack life. I have a purpose. I have this new zeal and motivation for life. And in that moment, I heard like a voice telling me like, you know, congratulations. Like you realize all this stuff and you finally realize your purpose and you finally realize what matters and what doesn't matter. And when this is all over, you're never gonna remember any of this, and you're gonna go right back to exactly how you were living before, cared about what you used to care about, and you're gonna find that none of it brings you fulfillment, none of it brings you happiness, and then you're gonna end up killing yourself in the future. Like that's what that voice was telling me. Like, and it was like either you're gonna end up killing yourself in the future, continue to live that lifestyle, or the reason I was finally realizing everything and having like, you know how they say before you die, like you see your whole life replay right before you, replay right before you. It was like the reason your whole life is replaying right before you and stuff is because you're about to die tonight. So it's either you're gonna continue to live your life, you forget about all this, continue to live your life like this, and kill yourself in the future, or you're about to die tonight. Like that's what like I heard a voice telling me that. That's why I said it was like a spiritual battle and like a spiritual warfare, because I feel like I was also hearing from God, but I was also hearing from the devil at the same time. It was crazy. It's the only way I could describe it. Like it's hard to put everything into words, but yeah, that was really scary. Obviously, that was very scary for me because I'm like, yo, I finally realized like, you know, what's going to give me what I've been looking for my whole life and chasing my whole life, you know, fulfillment. And I finally figured out what's going to fill that void and that, like when I tell you that emptiness was eating me alive, like it was just eating me alive, you know, because I'm getting all these things that society tells you is supposed to make you happy, but none of it was making me happy, and I couldn't understand why. So, yeah, I finally found like the one thing that I was missing, God, you know, Jesus Christ. So I'm like, yo, it's lit. Like I found it. Like I'm ready, you know, to live my life for God. You know, I don't want anything. There's nothing else that I want more in my life but to live my life for God. In that moment, that's how I felt. And for a voice to tell me that I was going to forget all of that, like, it was just crazy. And, like, it almost felt like I was in my deathbed because I was like, yo, it really felt real. Like, either I was about to die or die in the future. And in that moment, it's like, I almost felt like, you know, what Drake or, like, Diddy would feel like, you know, on their dying bed, on their deathbed. Like, they probably got to do so many different things that, you know, most people can only probably fantasize about doing or just, you know, imagine doing, you know, money, women, parties, drugs, you know, just so many different things. And it's like, when you're on that deathbed, does any of that really matter? You know, like, can you take any of that money with you? Can you take any of that designer, the houses, the cars? Can you take any of that with you? And it's like when you're dying, the only thing that you're thinking about, you're not thinking about any of the money that you have. You're not thinking about all the stuff that you did. You're thinking about like, yo, what is going to happen to me on the other side? What is going to happen to my soul? And that's what was like preoccupying my mind. And I'm not saying that I've done as much as Diddy and I've done as much as Drake, but I've done enough. You know, I've been to my fair share of parties. I've, you know, fornicated with several women. You know, that's just me being real, me being honest. You know, I've had tons of videos that have went viral, and just so many different things that I felt like was going to bring me happiness, that society tells you is going to bring you happiness. I've done drugs, drank, got blacked out drunk. I went and partied in Miami, I partied in LA, like, you know, and none of it brought me happiness. None of it. In that moment, I felt like, I was like, yo, none of that stuff matters. No girl, no party, no viral video, no drug, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is what happens to my soul after this life, my eternity, you know, at the end of the day. Because we live so much of our life in the short term, focus on the here and now. But at the end of the day, what really matters, you know? Is it what's here or what's forever? So it's like I finally got that understanding. And you know, I was just doing my heart. I was just trying my hardest to fight against that evil voice. I was like, no, you know, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. And then I felt like another voice telling me like, yo, you're gonna live. You know, you're not gonna die. You're gonna live. And it was just like conflicting voices and experiences in my head. And this whole time outside looking in, I just looked. Oh, I just bumped my camera with my foot. My bad. But this whole time outside looking in, I looked normal. I looked like I was just watching the game. I probably just looked anxious, I could assume. But yeah, like outside looking in, I was just like this. You wouldn't even be able to tell anything was going on inside my head. But it was just like the scariest thing, the most like supernatural experience that I had ever experienced. And yeah, like it was just crazy. Like to put everything into words is just so hard. And it also felt like it was like songs playing on the aux while we were watching the game. It also felt like every word that was playing in the songs like matched up exactly with what was going on in my mind, as if like it was designed to play in that moment. Like that's the only way I could explain it. And it's like I have some of the songs, and I'll probably share them on my social media and stuff. But yeah, it was just crazy. Like it just felt like they were exactly matching up with what I was going through, like what was going on in my head. Not like my thoughts were based off of the songs, but the songs was based off of the experience in my head. That's the only way I can explain it. And it was crazy, you know. And I was like, yo, this could only be God. Like I never, like as much as I was in church, I never believed that anybody could hear voices in their head, like, or that you would be seeing stuff. Like, you know how when you in church and people testifying and Timwaying means testify, like, you know, about stuff that they seen and heard and like the spiritual realm. When you were a kid, you're like, man, that's a bunch of cap. And that was my whole mindset, my whole life, all the way up until October 6th. And when it happened to me October 6th, it's nothing I could say no more. It happened to me. And not to say that I didn't believe in God, but I always had my doubts. Like I always like was questioning, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think you necessarily have to be ashamed of that, you know, especially if you're Christian or you grow up as a PK or pastor's kid, because it's real, you know. If you haven't experienced God for yourself, or really you've been forced to go to church your whole life, you never really had experience with God for yourself. So it's like, is this God really real? And then like questions that people have, well, if God was real, why does this happen? It starts to get to you, especially once you get to college and you don't have a firm foundation in God. Your faith will really be tested when you get to college. I'm telling you right now, because people, atheists, professors will throw all types of questions and different things at you that you will not have an answer for if you do not have a firm foundation in God. And that's exactly what happened to me. Exactly. Because I just started to get to know God 6 months ago. But yeah, so you know, I was always questionable, like, yo, come on, son. I feel like a lot of this stuff is cap until it happened to me. When it happened, I was like, yo, there's no more questioning it. You know, there's no more. And you know, you can believe, you can choose to be skeptical, but as for me, I know what happened to me, and like it changed my whole life, you know. So it's like, it was just like, nah, I can't even deny it anymore. Like I saw, like I physically had an experience, had an encounter with God. So like, I can't even be doubtful anymore, you know? So, yeah, it was just like a crazy experience in my mind. And that's when the game ended. And like I said, I'm gonna be looking down at my phone because, you know, I'm trying to keep track of everything. But the game ended, and it was close to midnight, which is around the time my mom would usually get home from work. And like I told you guys, my mother is super strict. It don't matter if you're 21, 25 in college. If you out after she came home from work and she don't see you home, it's a problem. Like if she's like my mom, like I feel like a lot of Caribbean and African or foreign parents are like this. Like, if she's not going to sleep until everybody's home and in bed. Like, if you out, she ain't going to sleep. She is going to blow up your phone. She's gonna text you and threaten to call the police. I've had that happen. She ain't called the police. Like, she be, you know they be capping, but like, she would threaten to call the police until I came home. So it's like, and my friends they knew how my parents were. So it was close to midnight, and they were like, yo, like, it's getting late. You should probably get home. I'm like, yeah. So they saw, though, that, like, they were pretty concerned because I looked visibly very anxious because of the whole experience. I didn't tell them anything that was going on in the moment because I just didn't feel like I could even explain it. Like, how do you even explain that in the moment? And I didn't feel like they would be able to understand. But, like, they could tell that, like, I was obviously high and super anxious. So my friend offered to drive for me, and I was out with my sister's car, so I didn't want anything to happen with my sister's car. So my friend offered to drive. So we get in the car, and then my other friends agree to follow us on the way to my house. And then, my close friends from high school, none of them are really religious, I would say. And I would never really... Yeah, none of them were really religious. But, like, this was something I never really used to do, ever. But in that moment, before we drove off, I was like, nah, before we drive, let's pray. And even with me saying that, I was surprised that I even said that. I felt like, it was almost like God taking control of some of my actions and stuff. Because I was like, yo, like, usually I'd never do that around them because, they're not religious at all, really. But in my mind, it was just something, like, came over me to, like, tell me, like, nah, we got to pray. And then he looked at me first like, what? And he was like, all right. And then, I held his hand. And then I'm thinking I'm going to say this long, elaborate prayer. And I'm just like, Lord, keep us safe. Amen. And then I feel like that's all we needed. And then that's when we drive off. And, also in that state that I was in, I felt, and this is where I talked about before, like some of the things that I feel like happened this night are like literal, some of them symbolic. I felt like I had so much of a supernatural like wisdom over me in that moment that I could almost like, I was like understanding everything around me at like a speed that was like a lot faster than I usually do, like, and faster than most people would, like just instantly, boom. And I was just like, everything was just super fast. And it almost felt like I could tell the future. Like I knew what was going to happen. As crazy as that sounds, I know it sounds crazy, but it almost felt like I could tell the future and what was going to happen that night. Like I felt like, we were going to get pulled over and like get into trouble with the police. Something in my mind was just telling me that. I don't know why, but like, I was like, we're high, we're black. I just feel like we're going to get into some trouble. But I didn't really say anything. It was just kind of just weighing on me. When you're high, you're just super anxious. It was kind of just weighing on me. It's like a form of anxiety, I guess. So, we're driving off, and that's when I see lights flashing, and I get super anxious, and I turn around. I'm like, yo, I knew it. Like, and that's when it's like my friend, like playing, like acting like he's a police officer, like flashing his headlights. And like in my mind, I was like, yo, how did I like, like know that like something involved in the police was gonna happen, right? But like something in my mind still told me, I was like, I feel like we're still gonna end up like getting pulled over by like an actual police officer. So we keep driving, and as anxious as I was, I still almost felt like it was like conflicting emotions. I felt anxious and like kind of scared. I felt like a sense of calm and like peace, like the whole ride, conflicting emotions. And like, while I was feeling that, like thinking about that, I was like, yo, at the same time, as anxious as I still feel like a sense of peace, a sense of calm over me. And I'm thinking that, and that's when my friend, he turns to me, he's like, yo, like, I don't know what it is, but like, I just, and we're not talking at all during the ride. That's the first time he's saying something. He's like, yo, I just feel like a sense of calm. Just like the same thing that I was thinking. I was like, yo, like, what are the odds of him saying and feeling the same thing that I was thinking in my head? And I was like, the only way to explain this is that God was protecting us that whole ride. That God had sent an angel, like a guardian angel, to protect us. And I know it's gonna be people like, okay, as crazy as that sounds, I truly do believe, because how I felt is really only explainable by God, literally. And I know I made that prayer for a reason, like God protecting us and having a guardian angel protect us that whole ride. So, yeah, and it was also like ironic because he was playing like this rap song that like kind of had like a gospel vibe to it. And I was like, at one point I realized the song that was playing, I was like, yo, is this gospel? And then he was like, yeah, it's like something like that. Like, you know, like gospel samples or something like that. I'm gonna probably share the song later. And then I was like, yo, like, what are the odds? Like, it's just crazy. So, that's when we're driving home. And the song is called Shadow Man by No Name, if you want to check it out. I don't know if it's necessarily a gospel song, but it kind of has a gospel vibe to it. Like, if you listen to it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's when we're driving, and then that's when we passed that's when we passed a police officer with his lights on the side of the road, like probably like a couple blocks away from my house. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, you know, I knew it. I knew it was gonna get pulled over. So my anxiety is like, you know, it's more like, you know, it's increasing. And we get closer to my house, and I keep turning around, checking to see what's gonna happen. And we get to my house, and we're fine. You know, nobody pulled us over. The cop didn't follow us. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, I really felt like a cop was gonna pull us over. So that's when, yeah, ran out of storage. My bad. But yeah, my phone was about to die too, so I had to get a charger. But yeah, so that's when my friend gets out the car and says, yo, you know, can you put the car in the driveway? Because the way my driveway is set up, it's like anybody who isn't accustomed to entering or exiting our driveway, it's really difficult for you to do it the first time. It's just like it's like a hill, and it's like an awkward angle. It's just weird. So, yeah, even with me being high and knowing that I wasn't necessarily in the right state of mind to do it, I was like, yeah, I got it. So I get in the driver's seat, and I'm about to put the car in the driveway, but it was almost like I was stuck, and like something in my mind was telling me to put the car in reverse at like full speed. And I'm like, yo, what the heck? No. Like, I don't want to die, because my friend is right behind me. Mind you, has a brand new car. So I'm like, no, like, nah, I don't want to do that. But it's like something in my mind is telling me, like, do it. Like, put the car in reverse, put the car in reverse. And I'm like scared. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to die. And then like suddenly I just do it. I just like put the car in reverse, and I just like put the foot on the gas all the way. And I'm just going. And luckily my friend was smart enough to put his car in reverse at the exact same time. I guess he saw me backing up and just had the reaction time to be able to do it. And then he swerved around me and drove down the street. And then that's when I just put the car to a stop. And then I was just like, yo, what? And then like something in my mind was telling me like, yo, that's what it means to trust me. And in that moment, I was just like, wait, what's going on? And like, as crazy as it sounds, like, I felt like it was like almost like a lesson from God in that moment, telling me like, yo, it doesn't matter how crazy the task is, or like how crazy what I'm telling you to do. If you trust me, it'll turn out fine. If you trust me, you won't die, you'll live. And I'm saying, I don't want to die. I ended up fine. So I just felt like that was just like a lesson within that night of God, like just trying to teach me to trust him. And I was just like, yo, what? And then that's when my friends came back around, and like they're like startled and like kind of laughing and stuff, and they're like, yo, what the heck, you almost hit us, da 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 da. And like, I'm trying to play it off, I'm trying to play it cool, like I'm good. And then I'm like, yeah, you know, when you high, like you know, you lose like sense of speed, like, you know, judgment, especially when you're driving. And like, that's actually a real thing. Like, if you're high, like, you kind of lose like your sense of speed, and like you might be going like a lot faster or slower than you, I don't know which one it is, but like, you just lose your judgment of speed. And like they're like, facts, nah, yeah. And like in my mind, I'm like, yo, what are the odds of God providing a completely logical explanation of why I did what I did for something that happened that was like too supernaturally complex for them to understand. You know what I mean? Like he gave me like a logical, perfectly logical explanation for something completely supernatural. So it was just like, I was like, wow, this is all God. Like so many things that happened that night in my mind just kept pointing to God. Like, yo, this is God. There's no other explanation for this but God. So, you know, they drive off. Well, before they drive off, they're like, yo, make sure you put those keys up where they belong. Walk right past your mom, because at this point, I think my mom had made it home before I did. Walk right past your mom, hop in the shower, take a shower, and go to sleep. So I bet. And something in my mind told me that what they were saying was going to happen exactly like that, right? Oh, before I get to that, going back to the cop thing, this is what I mean by like some of the things that happened that night were like literal, some of them symbolic. So like, yeah, in that moment too, when I felt like I was reversing and I was about to hit my friend, I was like, yo, maybe this is where the cop comes in that I felt like I was predicting in my mind. I'm gonna hit him and we're gonna get into an accident and like the cop is gonna come. But that didn't happen. So after that happened, I realized that I kept seeing the cop because in the year of 2020, right? You know, obviously there was a lot of social unrest due to what happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. You know, RIP to all those people and everybody else who's lost their lives to police brutality. And you know, you watching TV and you watching the news and you seeing police on the news all the time throughout the whole year 2020 mostly. And it's like something in my mind was telling me in a year that seemed like it was going to be the end, God was using that same year to be my beginning. You know what I mean? To be my new beginning, to start my new life, to save me and to take me out of where I was before. So it's like, that's why I felt it was like symbolic in my mind. So I kept seeing that cop and like, I guess the vision, I guess you could call it. But anyways, yeah, my friends told me, put those keys up where they belong, walk past your mom, go take a shower, and go to sleep. And that's something in my mind told me it was going to happen exactly like that. And so I come inside and put the keys up. And usually if I come home late or after my mom, she only comes home at like midnight. But like anytime after midnight for her is like 3 a.m. If it's once the clock goes from 11:59 to midnight, it's 3 a.m. in their mind. It don't matter what the time is. It's 3 a.m. So if you come in after midnight, you're wilding. So I'm thinking that she's going to say something to me and lecture me. I'm already getting ready. And she's just minding her business. And I walk right past her. I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, what the heck is going on? So that's when I go upstairs and I go to my room. And I'm going to get to the shower part. You guys want to see where the shower part comes in. But I go to my room and I'm putting my stuff away. And I realize that my charger head isn't in my pocket. And like, you know, I'm high still. So it's like I become like I start getting an unreasonable amount of anxiety over me not having my charger head. So I'm like, yo, where is it? And like with so much going on that night, and like as crazy as everything was, something told me like, yo, check in your sister's car. It's in your sister's car. And like I was like, there's no reason that I should know. There's no reason, one, that it should be there, and two, that I should know that it was there. Because I was just like panicking frantically. It could have been in the street when I came out in the car. It could have been still at my friend's house in the basement. It could have been anywhere. But someone was telling me like, yo, it's gonna be in her car. So, and in my mind, I was like, I bet this is like the last sign. Like, if this charger head ends up being in her car, this is God, and it's gonna be like, at that point, it's gonna be an undeniable amount of signs, and I have to give my life to Christ, you know. So tonight, so I go back downstairs, walking past my mom again in the kitchen, grab the keys and leave out. I'm thinking that she's gonna say something to me, thinking that I'm going out again. She'll say nothing. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So I go to the car and I'm frantically searching for the charger head, searching, and like, I'm not seeing this charger head. So at this point, I'm getting like scared and like even more anxious, because I'm like, yo, like, what if I don't find the charger head? Like, that means like all of this stuff was fake and like none of this stuff was real and this is all just a dream and like, you know, I'm gonna go back to living exactly how I was living and like the evil voice in my head was right and like, you know, I'm gonna end up, I was just scared, bro. Like I was just thinking the complete worst possible outcome of the situation. So like I'm just searching, and then finally it's almost like the flash of my phone almost like comes on its own, and I see the charger head under the passenger seat of my sister's car. So I'm like, yo, there is no way. Like I was just so shocked. Like I was in awe. I was like, yo, like, nah, at this point, like this is God. How did I know? You know, how did I know it's gonna be there? So I was like, yo, this is God. And got to the point I was like, oh, I really don't think it's in this car, and it was there. So it's like, nah, this is God. I gotta give my life to God, right? So I go inside and I put the keys back up, and I'm about to walk past my mom and go back upstairs to my room, and that's when I hear my mom go, Now, if you are Haitian, I don't even gotta explain what that means. If you passing your mom or some, and she goes, you know exactly what that means. So me and my mom, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, here we go. We are in trouble. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just get this over with. So I come up to her. I'm like, yo, why did you say that? And then she's like, what? I'm watching a sermon. And then she had like headphones in. And it wasn't until later that I realized that's why she didn't say anything, because she didn't even notice that I was passing her, because she was so focused, like, and in tune with the sermon. If anybody knows my mom, she's always either listening to a sermon, praying, singing some type of song from the Shut Esperance, like the hymns. She always singing some type of hymn, anything. She always doing something related to God, whatever she's doing, yo. So she's just focused, like, in this sermon, yo. So, and what I ended up saying next ended up not only surprising her, but myself also. I surprised myself also saying this. And my voice is so loud, you know, when I talk, it's like everybody in the house can hear me, because I just always had a naturally loud voice. And that was like another sign that I realized in this whole, I was like, yo, that's why my voice has always been so loud. Anybody that's close to me, they're always telling me like, yo, Solomon, you talk too loud. Your voice is so loud. I was like, that's why my voice is so loud, because I was meant to be in a place where, you know, you need to hear somebody's voice that has a large voice, you know. I was meant to preach. But yeah, so I asked her, what's the sermon about? And then she immediately stopped, like, what? Like, Solomon's asking me about this sermon? And then it wasn't until later that I found this out, but like my sister told me, like, she even heard me. She was upstairs in her bed sleeping. Well, not sleeping, but like, you know, getting ready to go to sleep. And she even said that, like, yo, she heard me ask that, and she was in shock. She was like, Solomon? Asking about a sermon? I was like, all right, bro. I was smiling that much, but yeah, that was in shock. So my mom, and something in my mind was telling me, like, yo, this sermon, like, she's gonna say, like, it's about how God can change your life and take you from where you're lost and now you're found. And she was like, yeah, like, she didn't say exactly that, but like, it was basically along the same line. She was like, yeah, it's about how God can save you. And you know, how God, you know, we need to be thankful that God, we need to be thankful about everything that God did for us during this pandemic, and how God can save you, how you need to give your life to Christ. And I was like, yo, like, how did I, like, basically have an understanding of what it would be about? So, like, I didn't explain to her anything that was going on. I ain't saying nothing. I was just like, Mom, can you pray for me? And then at that moment, she dropped everything she was doing. She stopped. She was surprised. And then she just sat me down. She just started praying for me. And that's when my eyes are closed. And then I feel another hand laid on me. Later, I realized it's my sister. And then that's when I just start crying. Like, when I tell y'all, and I told you, I don't really even cry like that, but I just start crying, yo, like bawling, tears. And like, it felt so good. It felt like a weight was being lifted from my shoulders, like a burden was finally being released. And it felt like all the shame and all the embarrassment and all the guilt that I felt for everything that I had did in my life that I knew was wrong and I knew I was living wrong. It just felt like it was all being washed away. and cleansed the way from my body. And that's where the shower comes in, where my friend was like, yo, make sure you go take a shower. I literally felt like I was taking a shower, not a physical shower, but like literally a spiritual shower. And all of my sins were literally like, you know how they say like Jesus will wash away your sins? That's what it literally felt like in that moment. It felt like all of my sins were being washed away and cleansed from my body. It was just felt like such a supernatural experience. And then it was crazy because in that moment when I was thinking that and feeling that, even my sister in her prayer, she was like, I cast out all shame. I cast out all guilt. I cast out all embarrassment. And I was like, yo, how is she praying that at the same time that I'm feeling this exact same thing? I was like, yo, this is God. And when I tell you, it was so many different things that night that pointed to God. Like you would be a fool, like, to put it plainly. You would be a fool to not come to God. If anybody else experienced exactly what I experienced that night, you'll be a fool to not come to God after. It was so many different signs that literally pointed to God, and there's no other explanation but God. But yeah, so as they're praying for me, and as I feel like, you know, everything's being washed away from me and cleansed from me, I start laughing. And that's when, like, my sister's like, she kept praying, but she told me later that she was confused, and like she didn't know if I had a demon in me or what. Like she had to cast something out from me. But I explained to them later, it's not that I was possessed or nothing like that. Chill out. I was laughing because I felt victory. You know, I felt like I had finally won. Like I had finally claimed victory over all of the sin that was holding me back for so many years. All the, you know, depression, pornography, lying, stealing, partying, fornication, just everything, you know. I felt like I had just won. I had finally claimed victory, and I finally, through God, took control back of my life. And I was just laughing because I was just so happy. And then, you know, in that moment, I made the prayer to give my life to Christ. And like I said in the beginning of the video, that's the best decision I have ever made in my life. And what was really crazy was that I ended up looking at the time, and it was after midnight. And like I told you guys, this experience that night, it was October 6, 2020. So after midnight being the following day, it was October 7th, 2020, which is also my dad's birthday. And in my mind, I'm like, something in my mind was telling me like, yo, like, what day is it today? What day is it today? And like, there's no reason you should really know the date in that mind. Like, you know how it is, like, especially during quarantine, you really don't know the date. But like, something I was like, oh shoot, like it's Daddy's birthday. And then I checked the time, it's after midnight, and I'm like, yo, it's October 7th, 2020. And I realized in my mind that in itself was another sign from God. Because, you know, if you're a believer, you obviously know the number 7 is a sign of perfection. And I was like, wow, what are the odds that I would give my life to Christ on October 7th, 2020, on a day that literally represents the day of perfection, which also happens to be my dad's birthday. So, and my birthday is January 7th, 1999, you know, so the 7, and I was like, yo, like, you know, I felt like my birthday was always a sign too, because my birthday is like the day of perfection. And I also felt like it was a sign from God that me and my dad, and my mom was joking later that day when we were getting ready to go out for my dad's birthday, like, yo, from now on, you and your dad have the same birthday. And I felt like God was trying to tell me for so long through my own birthday that we always had the same birthday, you know, January 7th, 107, October 7th, 1007. I was like, yo, like we always, like, it's so similar, you know? So I was like, yo, that's crazy. And like, it was also funny because, you know, obviously my dad being a pastor, my parents being so concerned on the path that I was on, like my dad was saying like, yo, this is like the best possible gift that I could have gotten for my birthday. Like my son coming to Christ. And when I tell you guys, because I also, even later, that day, I had asked my dad, like, yo, like, are you proud of me? And then he was like, yeah, I'm proud of you. And when I tell you guys, that was like the best feeling I could have ever possibly experienced. Like better than like, you know, any girl giving me attention or any party, like my dad. Because, you know, just being honest, me and my dad haven't always had the best relationship. And you might be able to tell from like how we interact in the pranks and the videos. But like, you know, I think with most foreign parents, like especially like, you know, sons and like their fathers, most of us Caribbeans and like Africans, we're usually mama's boys. But like I never really had the best, and that's just me being honest. I never really had the best relationship with my dad. We're never really close. I never really talked to him too much. But for him to say that me coming to Christ was like the best possible gift that he could have got that day for his birthday, and that he was proud of me, you know, it was like no better feeling. And I feel like when you gain the approval of God and when you gain the approval of your family, it's worth so much more than getting the approval of the world. Because for so long, I was chasing the approval of the world, right? And I finally got the approval of the world. And it really meant nothing, you know? Because there's always going to be people that don't like you. And there's always going to be people that still have something to say. And no matter how many people approve of you, you still going to be focused in your mind, because naturally as people, we focus on the negative more than the positive. So you're still going to be focused on your mind on the people that don't like you and that don't agree with you. You're like, all right, how can I get their approval too? And it's like, it's just a never-ending cycle, because there's 7.6 billion people on this planet. You're never going to get everybody's approval. People going to love you, people going to hate you. But it's like getting God's approval and getting your family's approval. How many people are you really, you know, please 7 billion people or please God and your family? I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather get the approval of God first and foremost and my family. So like just me, and it's like I'm at a point where it's like I'm ready. And that's why I feel like I had to take so much time away from social media and take so much time away from YouTube, because it's like, especially me being a content creator, me not having a platform, and now being a believer. When you're a believer, it says in the scripture that they remember when they hate you, remember that they hated me first. And that's from the perspective of Jesus Christ. So when you're a believer, it's automatic persecution coming your way. Like, that's not even a question. It's people are going to come for you. People are not going to agree with you. People are not going to agree with your beliefs. But now it's like that have a strong sense of identity. I found myself and I found my purpose in God and I found my identity in Christ. It's like, I know I have the approval of who I find the most important to have the approval of. So it's like, I could care less if I have the world's approval. You know what I mean? I could care less if everybody hates me. So it's like, I feel like me, especially spending this time to develop a good relationship with God, you know, it's just making it so much easier for me to be an unashamed Christian, for me to be an unashamed believer on this platform, you know, when I start to upload my videos again on YouTube and on Instagram. So it's like, you know, all that to say, you know, God is just so good. And, you know, God can just do here I am stuttering land. God can just do so much in your life if you just let him, you know what I mean? So, and it's so crazy, because I always felt like I wanted, you know, there were so many things that I felt like was wrong with my life, and I wanted, you know, if only I could do this over again, if only I could do that over again. Like, you know, I feel like I'm not the only one that had that feeling and that thought. Like, so many different things that you want to redo and you want another chance at. And I was like, you know what? If I could restart my life from like this grade or this age, everything would be perfect with the knowledge that I have now. But I realized that what I was looking for so long was, you know, not a reset, but I was looking to be born again. You know, that's really what it was. Like, when I was born again, it really felt like I was able to get that second chance at life that I was looking for so long, you know. Like, born again is literally like you're starting a new life. Like, they call it being born again for a reason, because it's like you're literally starting a new life. You know, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. So it's just such a refreshing feeling knowing that you can start a new life, that, you know, everything that you did in the past doesn't have to be held up against you, that your past doesn't define you. It's just such a refreshing feeling. And I was telling my mom this the day after I had the experience. I was like, yo, Mom, like, it just feels like I was blind before, and like everything that y'all was telling me, I didn't understand it. And it's almost like now me and my mom are like here. Like, I understand. It's so funny, because like everything that she was trying to tell me growing up, like, Jesus is coming soon, like, yo, you know, this, you're going on the wrong path. This isn't right, what you're doing. I never understood it, and I never, like, you know, I was like, all right, you're just talking. Now it's like I finally understand, and I finally see, and I finally get what she's talking about. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the end of the day, a lot of time when your parents are talking at you, or it feels like they're talking at you, or they're making rules, is not to be mean or to make your life boring. It's literally to protect you. There's so many things that could have happened if it wasn't for my mom, for my dad, for the people around me praying for me. And just a huge thank you to all of my close family and friends that were praying for me, you know, the whole time I was out, you know, living the life that I was living. Because without you guys, without your prayers, and without you interceding for me, I may not be standing where I am today. So huge thank you. I couldn't appreciate you guys enough for interceding in my life when I couldn't even intercede for myself. But yeah, if it wasn't for my mom praying for me or all the people that I have around, it was so many people that after I gave my life to Christ and they found out, it was like, yo, I didn't tell you, but like, I was praying so much for you. My name was in prayer lines I didn't even know about, like, it was just so many people. And I just have so much thanks and appreciation and love for everybody that was praying for me, even when I didn't even know it, And yeah, so now you guys are probably wondering, like, okay, it's good, God is good. You gave your life to Christ. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. But it's like, what have you been doing since then? Like, if you haven't been uploading videos, like your main job, the main thing that we want to see from you, like, what have you been doing? And first and foremost, I want to say, like, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this past 6 months is the happiest. And I was saying this a lot, like, if it wasn't for me being a content creator, and if it wasn't for me knowing that, like, part of fulfilling my purpose was getting back on social media and was getting back on YouTube, I was telling a lot of people, like, yo, I at this point, I don't even want to go back. I was enjoying my life so much in my little cave, just me and God and the Word. Like, I just really did not want to go back. And it's like, whenever you do like a radical, any type of change in your life, matter of fact, whenever you make any type of change in your life and commit to that change, eventually, if you stick to it long enough, it becomes your new normal. So like, my life away from social media has become my new normal. And that's a part of the reasons why I was like pushing back and stalling this video for so long. I was like, yo, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. At the end of the day, one thing that I felt like God kept telling me, like, yo, this is bigger than you. This is not just about you, because there are so many people that were going through exactly what I was going through 6 months ago, and they will not be set free until they hear your story. They will not have the courage to stand up and be like, you know what, I was watching pornography too. You know what, I was fornicating too. I was lying too. I was stealing too. I was doing drugs too. Until somebody else has the courage enough to, because in the scripture, it talks about how the truth shall set you free. Not only did me finding out the truth about myself and finding out the truth from the Word, the one and only truth, set me free. It just like when I tell y'all that it felt like a little burden, like a little weight was being released from me. It literally set me free. Now my truth and me being vulnerable and me being transparent with you guys will set somebody else free. And God just kept telling me that, like, yo, you can't be selfish and make this about you. I know you want to go back and it might be scary. I was very scared. I was very nervous, because it's almost like you getting up on the stage and stripping naked for like a whole bunch of people. I was telling you guys like the deepest, darkest parts about my life that I thought I would never tell anybody. But at the end of the day, I have confidence that this will help somebody, that this will save somebody that was going through exactly what I was going through. Because if I had seen a video like this when I was going through what I was going through, I believe that it would have saved me. So, I just wanted God to be able to use me as an instrument to just save whoever he wanted to save whoever this is for. As long as one person, literally one person that's going through exactly what I was going through 6 months ago sees this and is saved and is delivered, that's all. The purpose is complete. That's all that matters, So it's like, honestly, now that I'm done, well, there's still a couple more things I want to say, but I just feel so refreshed, the fact that I just got it all off my chest and I put it all out there for the table. I don't have to act anymore and be something that I'm not. But yeah, God is just so good. God changed my life. But yeah, since then, like I said, you guys are probably wondering what I've been doing in these last 6 months. First and foremost, I developed such a great relationship with God. Like, when I tell you, when you have a relationship with God, everything else falls into place. Something in the scripture, seek the kingdom above all else, and all these things will be added unto you. Like, when I tell you, all these things have been added unto me. All these things have been added unto me, bro, and more. Like, when you put God first, like when you prioritize God, it's like everything else, all these worldly material things that you were chasing after, literally just fall into put you, like, without you even having to do anything, they just fall into your lap. Like, that's just how it is. But it's like, it's also like, you can't chase God for his hand. You have to chase God for who he is. Because me just genuinely getting my happiness from God, feeling fulfilled and content and peace in my relationship with God, that was my motivation for developing my relationship with God. Right before, I didn't know that. I didn't have any motivation. So I could understand somebody that's like, well, what if I don't want to put God first? But it's like, I'm telling you right now, this is the happiest I've ever been, the most content, the most peace I've ever had in my life, the most fulfilled. The emptiness that I felt inside, the depression, it's all gone. Like, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life, just having a relationship with God, waking up in the morning, talking to God, venting to God, just having a real like the same way you have a relationship with a friend is the same way it is having a relationship with God. And it's just so dope when you get to that point. I'm still learning and I'm still growing every day. And I still have a lot of, I'll tell you, I have a lot of work to do, but, I'm definitely, the happiest I've ever been and the most fulfilled I've ever been, right? So definitely developed a great relationship with God. I finally got into the Word for myself because, growing up, obviously I was in the church my whole life, but I wasn't really paying attention. My body was in the church, but my mind wasn't there. So I finally got into the Word for myself. Definitely did a lot of my own reading and understanding of the Scripture just so I could get my own understanding of the Word. And it's been great, because it's like when you finally learn the truth, just like I said, it will set you free. My depression left. I went and seek like therapy and like help from my school. Clinical and Psychological Services. It's called CAPS. At my school, I went and seek therapy for a little bit. I didn't keep up with it for too long because I felt like God had already taken care of my depression, so I really didn't feel like I needed it for too long. I kind of just was in and out, and depression left. Like, I don't have any ounce of depression in my body. I got back on track with school. I have straight A's and B's right now. All glory to God. I was failing classes left and right. It's the highest my grades have ever been. I made it my goal this semester to get on Dean's List and to get a 4.0 for this semester. So, see how that goes. We're still in the middle semester, but I have faith in God. I trust in God. God got me. But like I said, it's the highest my grades have ever been in college, at least. I've never got Dean's List in college, ever. So, God is good. I got a job. I was working at Costco for 5 months. Camera cut off again, my bad. But yeah, I got a job. I was working at Costco for 5 months. I got a refund from my school. Ended up being $5,000. When I tell you guys, I've never gotten a refund. The last time I got a refund from my school was my freshman year, and it was not nearly the amount of money that I got this semester. And like, that's all like literally a testament to God. As soon as I stopped working at Costco, I got let go, and I feel like God did that for a reason. Like, I'm literally within a month, I open my email and I see a $5,000 refund from MSU, which would have covered, which is more than I would have made working that entire semester. I got my unemployment, and I was waiting for God to give me my unemployment since like June of last year. And the unemployment first initially hit in November. Dang. I got all the money that I was waiting for, and yeah, God, it's just oh my gosh, I think it's the dust in the air. My bad, y'all. But I do not have COVID. Chill out. I do not have COVID. But yeah, God blessed me with a job, refund, unemployment. I'm still getting unemployment now. Glory to God. I paid off all of my loans. I paid off all my debt, all the loans that I had owed, all the dumb loans that I was taking out. I paid them all by like the end of November. Like, I decided to get my life on track literally that day, October 7th, 2020. And by mid-November, my loans paid off. All my debts paid off. And that's just a testament to God's glory and how good God is and how quickly God can move in your life if you let him. Like, when I tell you, when I got hired at Costco, it was literally October 15th or October 16th, literally like a week and a half after I had my experience with God, and I decided to take God serious. God will move fast, like swifty, literally. As soon as I lost my job from Costco, boom, a month later, $5,000 from MSU. Like, God is so good. I started actively engaging and making accountability partners with the believers that I have around me. I started learning from some mentors that I have. I started getting into Bible plans, Bible studies. I even started practicing preaching sermons within the youth of my church. And eventually I know I got to get on that big stage one day. It's a part of my purpose. I started learning the Bible for myself. Just all these different things started helping me increase my journey spiritually. I've seen more discipline, motivations. I said motivations. More discipline, motivation, peace, contentment, and fulfillment than I've ever experienced in my life. Just I've had more motivation and like just more discipline to just tackle everything. You know, everything I felt too lazy to do. Like I told you guys before, the only thing I had motivation to do was the videos and YouTube and stuff. Now it's like I have the motivation and discipline for everything. I've been attacking every single aspect of my life. Like, you name it, I've been killing it, winning, you know. And I've been in the gym every single day, or at least as many days out the week as I can. But since October, and thanks to God, I've hit my weight goal of 200 pounds. All glory to God. I started out at 170 pounds. I think around July when I finally got concerned about my weight, because I was losing a lot of weight during the pandemic, and I really wanted to gain, but I really didn't start seriously actually attacking the gym until October, my experience with God. But yeah, around July I weighed myself and I was 170, and shout out to God, beginning of March I finally clocked in at the big 200. That was my goal. I gained 30 pounds through the glory of God. I'm gonna post the before and after pictures on my Instagram. But yeah, hit 200 pounds, gained 30 pounds. I'll tell you guys, and a crazy thing is, during that experience that I was having with God, God told me I was gonna come out of this, spiritual quarantine or hibernation, whatever you want to call it, this time away that I spent sacrificing social life. I really have been, only people I really been talking to is my immediate family and close friends and accountability partners. This whole 6 months, I really all the girls that I used to be talking to, parties, done. I would go out here and there, hang out with close people, support, celebrate with close people for birthdays and stuff like that. But outside of that, I really haven't been doing anything but just focusing on God, my academic life, my financials, school, fitness, all of that. And God told me that I was going to come out of this in the best shape of my life, in every single aspect of my life, everything I just listed. And it happened. This is the highest my grade's ever been, the most money I've ever had in my pockets. Not even to brag or nothing like that, but most financially stable I've ever been, most disciplined I've ever been, most fit I've ever been. I finally hit 200 pounds, a goal I wanted to hit for so long, and I got it. It was almost easy. So it's like I said, the scripture says, seek the kingdom above all else, and all these things will be added unto you. When you seek God over everything, over all these worldly things, He's going to give you everything that you want. He can do it. He's able to do whatever. It's just whether you're going to let Him. God is not a dictator. God is not somebody that's just going to, because the same way you wouldn't want God to do something to your life that you don't want, is the same way He doesn't just throw blessings on you, because He looks for our permission in everything that we do. We have free will as people. So God looks for our permission, no matter the good, the bad. He looks for our permission to do it. So if you don't give God the permission to do something, He ain't going to do it. As soon as you give God the permission to do it, as soon as you give, which is basically, giving your life to Christ and committing to having a relationship with God, just so many, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. So many different blessings just start getting poured over your life. I started investing in stocks. I made a lot of money off of that. My credit score has gone up a lot, because as you can imagine, the loans really hurt my credit score a lot, and I'm 22, so this is the age where you really want to get your credit score right, because in a couple years I'm gonna be looking at houses and cars and stuff like that. So I've really been I really got to get my finances right for my future, and that's exactly what's been happening. My credit score has been going up, investments been going good, just everything's been going good. All glory to God. So if you make the same decision that I made, October 6, 2020, you can experience the same happiness, the same fulfillment. You can find your purpose, find your identity in Christ, all these different blessings that I'm experiencing now if you make that same decision. It's a verse that I wanted to share with you, God. What is it? Romans 10:9. If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. That's all you got to do. If you declare with your mouth and believe in your heart, that's it. You're saved, And yeah, I just really felt the need to just let everything out. This video is super long. I'm so sorry for how long this video is, but hopefully if anybody watched all the way through to here, I appreciate you. I hope that God moved you through this video, that this helped you in any way, because I'm a firm believer in the truth will set you free. That's another verse I want to share with you guys. James 5:16. Therefore confess your sins one to another and pray for one another. For the prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working. So it says pray for one another that you may be healed. So, when you confess your sins one to another, you will be healed. Like, that's literally all it takes. You confess your sins and, the truth will set you free. My truth, your truth. That's all you need. So, yeah, another song that I want before I leave. I'm sorry, I know I'm hitting you guys with a whole bunch of stuff. Before I leave, so I wanted to share with you guys. It's a song called "Truth Be Told" by Matthew West. I'm gonna leave it in the description. It's a song that I was listening to like on repeat this whole 6 months. Like, it's so fire. It really just talks about a lot of basically what I was saying. How a lot of people, you try and hide your deepest, darkest secrets, and we all have skeletons in the closet that we don't want to tell anybody because we want to seem perfect on the outside, and we're trying to maintain this image or persona to people. But despite all of our problems and everything that we're going through, we just assume that everybody else's life is just perfect and that nobody else is experiencing what we're going through. But it's not until somebody else finally stands up and admits that they're going through something that we realize, like, yo, it's not just me. Like, there's so many other people going through the same thing that I'm going through. It's just that, like, everybody is just too afraid to admit it. I ain't gonna lie, I was very scared to make this video. I was very nervous. I'm not bashing anybody that doesn't have the courage to be able to stand up. It's very hard to do, but it's like, when somebody finally is able to do that, you set so many other people free, because it's like, yo, I'm not the only one. There's a sense of comfort in knowing that you're not the only one that's going through something. And that's exactly what this song talks about. If everybody's just honest and just truthful and just transparent about what we're going through, we will all, just so much healing in that, So, yeah, I just, like I said before, I just want to thank everybody for all of your prayers and support. Up until this point, I wouldn't be here without you guys. I couldn't stress that enough. As far as videos, yes, we will be back with the content. I'm going to be back like I never left, uploading consistently, weekly. Hopefully I can get to a point where I'm uploading almost daily. But yes, I will be back. I have skits. I have so much stuff in store for you guys. So much content in store. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Just wait on it. It's coming. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I ain't just been sitting around this whole time. Just me and Guy. I've been working too. So yeah, I've been working on a lot of cool content for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, if you got to the end of this video, shout out to you. This is a super long video. But yeah, I love you guys, and God bless.